From our studios in Edmonton, this is XT5.
A CBC sports presentation. The Edmonton Eskimos and the Toronto Argonauts meet today for the Canadian Football League Championship as we present Grey Cup 82. Brought to you by Carling O'Keefe, brewers of OV, Alta 3.9, and Carlsberg. And now, we take you live to Toronto's Exhibition Stadium and our Grey Cup 82 sports crew.
And what a great day for Canada's greatest sporting spectacle. The day is cool in Toronto, but more than 50,000 fans from across the nation here at Exhibition Stadium are already warmed up for what everyone expects to be a classic battle between the Western defending Grey Cup champion Eskimos from Edmonton and the challengers from the East, the Argonauts from Toronto. Beneath the grandstand right now, some anxious moments in both dressing rooms. Here are the Eskimos in quiet preparation for something that they've been to so many times before. And down the hall with Toronto Argonauts, quiet themselves but not knowing exactly what to do about this experience. 3 hours from now, only one team will taste the victory of Grey Cup champagne. For television, anxious moments as well. After long months of preparation, the pictures from this stadium this afternoon will be shared by 4 television networks: CBC English and French, CTV, and ESPN in the United States. Still 30 minutes away from kickoff, but everyone is ready now. Good afternoon, I'm John Wells, and it's easy to be excited about Grey Cup 82. The Argos are finally here, and that fact has already given today's game some special meaning. 30 years ago this week, the Argos played the Eskimos and won. It was Toronto's last victory in a Grey Cup. And 1952 was also the first time television dared cover football live. Since 1952, just about everything in this world has changed, except the Argos' luck. Today, there's great hope for Argo fans, but there's also the Eskimos, who have now won 4 Grey Cup championships in a row. Today's script for this football afternoon could not have been much better prepared had we started writing it at the beginning of the season. Grey Cup 82 is here, and the Grey Cup celebration will continue on the field all afternoon. It's a special time, and a special time for a pre-game presentation at Grey Cup 82 on the sidelines right now.
The pre-game and halftime shows are brought to you by the Government of Canada in collaboration with the Canadian Football League. Our program commences with the internationally famous Team Floor Marching Band from Burlington, Ontario. A special guest will lead off today's activities.
Introducing this afternoon
of Canada's Olympic team,
Canada's new Olympic mascot. His name is Moomik the Mover. And he'll cheer Canadian athletes on at international competitions from now on. A combination of CFL and Grey Cup flags and team flags arranged in a block formation, and the bands are now onto the field. The Teen Town Marching Band from Burlington, Ontario. Before this pre-game presentation is complete, 60 flags, 48 provincial and territorial flags, 18 flags of the Canadian Football League, 26 pennants and Grey Cup pennants will all be trooped across the turf at Exhibition Stadium. There's much more to come from field level before kickoff, and we'll get back to the grand finale of the opening ceremonies a little later. The pretty ladies of Grey Cup 82 at CNE Exhibition Stadium this afternoon.
Canada's national flag.
Cloudy skies and the possibility of light rain later. Still, though, a very pleasant afternoon for Grey Cup 82, and all indications point to one of the best matchups in recent history. Standing by way across Exhibition Stadium, the play-by-play commentators for this afternoon, Pat Marsden and Don Whitman. Gentlemen.
Well, thank you, John. Hello again, everybody. You know, Whit, you and I have worked so many Grey Cups together. I agree with John Wells. I am really pumped up for this one. I think it could be the best that I've ever seen.
Well, Pat, I think the entire city of Toronto feels the same way. I've never seen as much enthusiasm for a Grey Cup. It was impossible to walk down Yonge Street last night. As a matter of fact, they had to close the street at about 9 o'clock. People were everywhere celebrating, yelling. Cars were driving around. They were waving banners. There is tremendous support. The Argos will receive an emotional lift, I'm sure, when they run out on the field, because the crowd will be behind them.
Well, I'll tell you, they're going to have an emotional lift, but they're also going to have a lift from the guy who plays at quarterback. Number 7 is Conrad Holloway, the player of the year in the Canadian Football League this year. Why not? He's had an outstanding year, and his touchdowns to interceptions ratio is just actually unbelievable. I mean, he threw 31 touchdown passes, had only 12 interceptions, and he's the man that the Argos have to have come through big today.
He passed for 4,661 yards. Warren Moon of the Edmonton Eskimos established a professional record this season, the only quarterback in the history of pro ball to pass for 5,000 yards. He accomplished the goal in his final game, but what a brilliant season he has had. 36 touchdown passes for Warren Moon, and he only had 16 interceptions. So there's a similar ratio, Warren Moon as compared to Conrad Holloway. I think we're going to see the ball in the air about 75 to 80 times this afternoon.
We're going to see it in the air a whole lot. We're not going to see it run too much, but I think it's going to be one of the great games in recent CFL history. Brian Williams, I'm sure you'll agree.
No question at all, Pat, and you talked about the excitement. It is deafening down here in the field. It is still 25 minutes to kick off. This is the loudest crowd I've ever heard. The Argonauts have to make some changes this afternoon. One is in their defensive backfield. Zach Henderson, the outstanding defensive player in the Eastern Conference, is out, injuring his knee last week against the Ottawa Roughriders. How are they going to compensate for your absence?
Well, the slot that's going to be taken as far as the American goes in my place is going to be Leo Gray. And as far as the defense goes, with the 5 guys in the secondary, I think they're going to start Steve Aykroyd.
Are we going to see maybe 6 defensive backs, though?
Well, there's a good possibility of that happening. Not only Steve's going to be starting, and Merv Walker and Leo Gray are going to be switching in and out in the position that I was in, according to what defense we're in.
All right, this crowd is pumped up. Tremendous excitement. You've been in the locker room. Are the Argos nervous and uptight?
Well, they are a little bit, and I'm sure, you know, Edmonton has been here 5 years, and they're nervous. So I wouldn't say uptight, I would say nervous.
Let's find out more about the Edmonton Eskimos. We go to the north side. Here's Bill Stevenson.
Brian, first of all, I'd like to tell you a little bit about the weather. It is going to be 4 degrees. The weatherman says we're liable to get rain by halftime. Talking to the Eskimos after last week's final in the West, they said, hey, this is summertime out here. But today I'm going to be on the bench with the Edmonton Eskimos. And you know, this may be the height of what many people feel is one of the all-time great football clubs in the Canadian Football League. What makes it so interesting also is that across the field with the Toronto Argonauts, you may be looking at a team that will be the future Eskimos in the CFL. And by the way, in the past 25 years of the Grey Cups, I have never seen tickets so tight. Now, let's go to John Wells.
Okay, Bill, then it's an important afternoon for all concerned, and the officials, like everyone else, have a few butterflies before a big game like the Grey Cup. Let's go down to their dressing room right now and meet them in the final moments of their preparation for the game. The referee this afternoon will be Bud Ulrich. He's a school teacher from Winnipeg. The head linesman, Art McAvoy, general insurance agent in Regina. The line judge is Gary Yule. The back judge, Bob Snugden. The field judge, Jack DeCare. The standby officials, Lorne Woods from Ottawa and George Black from Don Mills.
Art, could you come inside He's got 2.
So anxious moments for the officials as they get ready and make sure that everything is in readiness for the 1982 CFL Championship. They've crowded them into a small room underneath CNE Stadium. But something else new on our coverage this year, we have live cameras in both dressing rooms. Now, let's go to the Argo dressing room first. It's a moment that the Toronto Argonauts have really not felt for some time. And certainly, these gentlemen don't really know much more than being here for a championship every year. But one man who knows exactly the feeling that goes on just before a championship is Leo Cahill. He's standing by near the Argo room now.
our 9 Canadian...
You know, I'm no stranger to these surroundings here. I've been here before. But these coaches are a lot like all coaches. They worry about all kind of things before a key game like this. They're in there right now worrying about how much it's going to hurt them to miss Zach Henderson out there playing that defensive secondary. They're also worrying about how much time they spent on the game, whether they spent enough time offensively and defensively. All kind of things they worry about at this stage. But while they're worrying, I think that they ought to reflect. And they ought to reflect on the fact that they're a great football team. This football team didn't back into the playoffs or didn't back into the Grey Cup. They're here as a result of a 44-7 win over an Ottawa football team. So regardless what happens out here, they're playing probably one of the best football teams in the history of Canadian football. But it's going to be a great game. Regardless who wins or who loses, it could be a war. Now, I like to think about an old saying that I had before we went to a key game like this. When it gets to this point of the ball game, the hay is in the barn, and from here on in, it's up to God and the top 34 players. Now, let's go to another guy that's intimately connected with this football game, Leif Pettersson. Leif?
Thank you, Leo. Having played in 2 Grey Cup games, I felt as a player the most difficult thing was the distractions that occurred during the week. With all the Grey Cup fanfare and all the things going on, being out of your normal routine, it's difficult at times to keep the perspective of why you're really here. But the one reason why you're here is to win the Grey Cup game. And Neil, I suggest you as well have played in 2 Grey Cup games. It's probably a little easier for you to mentally prepare yourself for the game.
Well, you're right in saying that there's been a lot of excitement leading up to today, Leaf, and I think that having the 2 Grey Cups behind me, and one was in this city and one in Montreal, and though there is a little bit more fanfare this Grey Cup, it's easier because of the last 2 and knowing what you have to do and what you're here for, that you pack your briefcase and come down to Toronto for this particular day today, and that's what it's all about, and everything else goes behind us now.
Well, Pat and Don, if experience is a factor in the game today, there's no question the Eskimos have the edge.
I don't think there's any doubt that Edmonton has the edge when it comes to experience, but you know what, Whit? I believe when they have the kickoff and that old ball's in the air, the experience is gone, and let's see who wants to win it more. But if you want to talk about defenses, and we should talk about them, boy, the Eskimos have been outstanding.
Well, the Eskimos have the better defensive record on the season. That is obvious from the statistics available for the 2 teams. However, I think that it will be an offensive show this afternoon, and let's talk to a couple of guys who might have similar feelings. Frank and Ron.
Thanks very much, Donnie. There's no question the Edmonton Eskimos have been one of the most powerful offensive football teams over the last decade. But, Ron, the Toronto Argonauts have come up with a new offense in 1982. It's been extremely exciting. A lot of motion is used by the Argonauts. As the ex-great quarterback of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, you must enjoy it.
Oh, I really enjoy to watch the Argonauts play football. They have everything going for them. They have people running all over the place. They do it for a variety of reasons, but they allow that quarterback to go crazy.
Well, I'll tell you one of the things that they do, Ronnie, they try to flood a zone. They also try to isolate great people. Let's try to point out some of that as we take a look at our telestrator machine. You'll see the motion coming across by Newman and then also by Paul Pearson. And Ronnie, maybe you can explain to us exactly why they're using that motion. You see Terry Greer up at the top of your screen as well.
Well, what they do is the Argonauts will always go in motion to the wide side of the field, and when Newman starts to his right and then comes back, he's just trying to get a pre-snap read of that defensive secondary to allow the quarterback to read man-to-man or zone. And in this particular case, they get what they want backside.
I'll tell you one thing, if I had an athlete like Terry Greer on my football club, I'd try to isolate him as well. I'm sure you would agree with that. But there's also some great athletes on that Edmonton Eskimo Football Club. One of them was picked as the outstanding defensive player in the Canadian Football League in 1982, James Parker. You've seen a little bit of him, Ron, from time to time. He's, of course, number 40. He's right there in the middle of your screen defensively, but they'll put him almost anywhere.
Well, he's a designated sacker of the Eskimo football team. No matter where he lines up, wherever he lines up, doesn't matter. If they take too long to throw the ball, he's going to be right on top of them.
I'll tell you what else he can do, Ron. He can also make great individual efforts. Watch this in an earlier game against these same Toronto Argonauts. That's James Parker, number 40. Cedric Minter is trying to block him. Watch what happens. I think it's an example of the great defensive play this afternoon. But, Ron, we've got the number 1 and the number 2 offensive football teams in the country. It should be a great one.
Well, they're going to put the points on the board, and it still comes down to defense wins championships.
Ronnie, great to work with you again. But let's go right now to John Wells.
Okay, gentlemen, we're closing in now on the kickoff to Grey Cup 82 on the field at this very moment. The finale of a spectacular stage presentation. Let's go there. CF Hurricanes, the 1942 Grey Cup champions, are here, and they're part of the opening ceremonies to this 1982 Grey Cup. They were Grey Cup winners 40 years ago. And on the field at the conclusion of this finale, we'll have 800 participants. Including several marching bands, the Queen's University Marching Band, the Kiwanis Cavaliers from Kitchener, the 48th Highlanders, the Windsor Scarlet Brigade. And a panorama view of the turf at CNE Stadium just prior to our Grey Cup kickoff. 4 C-5 aircraft fly past to officially end the ceremonial, but apparently they will be back. CF-5 aircraft to fly past Grey Cup Sunday in Toronto. In the distance, you can hear them now. C-5 aircraft honing in on CNE's Exhibition Stadium. What a beautiful picture that's. Stand back. The tension of the Grey Cup continues to fill the air at Exhibition Stadium. The kickoff draws near. Grey Cup 82 from Toronto continues in just a moment. The Toronto Argonaut dressing room just moments before game time. And that is the football team we're waiting for. The Argos in prayer before heading out onto this colorful stadium turf. Exhibition Stadium in Toronto. Grey Cup 82, the Toronto Argonauts looking for a place in history. At least to take over a place in history. Because it was 30 years ago this week, as you've heard already, I'm sure, that the last Toronto Argonaut team ever managed a victory in this Canadian Football Classic. Now on the field once more, we're ready for the introduction of the starting lineups of the Edmonton Eskimos and the Toronto Argonauts. At the microphone, Camille Dubé.
Football fans, amateurs de football, we're now introducing the starting defensive lineup of the Western champions. Voici l'alignement défensif des champions de l'Ouest, the Edmonton Eskimos. At left end, ailier à gauche, numéro 64, number 64, David Boone. The nose guard, plaqueur au centre, numéro 65, number 65, Dave Bunnell. At right end, ailier à droite, numéro 60, number 60, Tom Doiney. Outside linebacker, secondaire extérieur, numéro 40, number 40, James Parker. Middle linebacker, secondaire intérieur, numéro 30, number 30, Dale Potter. Middle linebacker, secondaire intérieur, numéro 42, number 42, Dan Kepley. Outside linebacker, linebacker, secondaire extérieur, numéro 20, number 20, Tom Towns. Quarterback, demi de coin, numéro 29, number 29, Joe Holloman. Defensive half, demi de sûreté, numéro 24, number 24, Ed Jones. Free safety, maraudeur, numéro 18, number 18, Mike McLeod. Defensive half, demi de sûreté, numéro 28, number 28, Gary Hayes. Cornerback, demi de coin, numéro 13, number 13, Larry Hybaugh. The head coach, l'instructeur Huey Campbell, the assistant coaches, ses adjoints, and the rest of the Edmonton Eskimos, et tous les autres membres des champions de l'Ouest. The starting offensive lineup of the Eastern Division champions. L'alignement à l'attaque des champions de l'Est, the Toronto Argonauts. At center, au centre, numéro 53, number 53, Todd Smith. Left guard, garde à gauche, numéro 69, number 69, Dan Ferrone. Right guard, garde à droite, numéro 59, number 59, Rowan Mangold. Left tackle, bloqueur à gauche, numéro 50, number 50, Tom Trifo. Right tackle, bloqueur à droite, numéro 63, number 63, John Malinowski. Slotback, demi-inséré, numéro 25, number 25, Paul Pearson. Slotback, demi-inséré, numéro 32, number 32, Dave Newman. Running back, le demi, numéro 20, number 20, Cedric Minter. Fullback, le centre arrière, numéro 34, number 34, Bob Brown. Wide receiver, ailier espacé numéro 10, number 10, Terry Greer. Wide receiver, ailier espacé numéro 19, number 19, Emmanuel Tolbert. Quarterback, le quart, numéro 7, number 7, Conrad Holloway. The head coach, l'instructeur Bob Obolevich, the assistant, ses adjoints, and the rest of the Eastern champions, et tous les autres membres des Argonauts de Toronto.
the Toronto Argonauts. A storybook year, and Ralph Fazio, their president general manager, takes a great deal of credit for getting the Toronto Argonauts to this 1982 Grey Cup championship. It's been a long time coming for the boys in double blue. And the enthusiasm at Exhibition Stadium this afternoon was very much anticipated after watching the Argo introductions last week when they went to the Eastern Final. The team captains. The veteran Larry Highball.
Yeah,
as mentioned earlier, Bud Ulrich, the man in charge on the field today. And right now he awaits the co-captains of the Toronto Argonauts. Here they come.
Ladies and gentlemen, at center field now are the captains representing the Edmonton Eskimos. Number 57, Eric Upton. Number 64, David Boone. And number 13, Larry Highball. And representing the Argonauts, number 64, Leon Leskevich. Number 20, Cedric Minter. Number 53, Doug Smith.
Good game, fellas.
On the sidelines, far side, Conridge Holloway. He's written quite a story for the Argos so far this year. Hugh Campbell. Well, chapters in Canadian Football League history that will not soon be duplicated. 5 straight appearances in the Grey Cup, 4 straight victories. He's a motivator. Bob Obilovich, a rookie head coach, but he's been to the Grey Cup before as an Ottawa Rough Rider. And Obilovich has done wonders for the Toronto Argonauts so far this season. The kickoff not far away now. Just a little bit of pressure on that young man's shoulders. Art Eggleton on the left, and Mark McGuigan, the Minister of Justice, on the right.
Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, we would ask you to stand.
And now a special treat. The 85 boys St. Michael's Boys School Choir will sing Canada's national anthem. Conridge Holloway, the Argos. Warren Moon of the Eskimos. Next, the kickoff, and Pat Marsden and his CTV broadcasting partners, Frank Rigney and Lee Pedersen, will handle the first half. Grey Cup 82 continues from Toronto in a moment.
on behalf of Leaf and Frank, let me tell you that we're ready, and we certainly know those two clubs down on the field are set. The Edmonton Eskimos are going to kick it off, and either Jeff Townsend, JoJo Heath, or Terry Greer will be set to return it, as the Argos won the toss a couple of days ago. Cutler's kick is high, not too deep, and this is JoJo Heath from his 13-yard line. Heath picks his way neatly out to the 34-yard line. Mark DeBreeze, number 79, was first down to make the stop. The Toronto Argonauts know how important this initial series is, because they would like to string together a few first downs and establish some field position.
Leaf, would be very interesting right off the ballpark when we see all this motion from the Toronto Argonauts, just exactly how the Eskimos react to it.
Well, I think we'll get an indication early if they're going to run people across and try and follow them. That should give Conrad Holloway a pre-read.
Bob Bronk is 34, Minter is number 20. They go in motion. The play action fake, and the toss goes to Bronk. And Bronk slipped and fell, was covered there by Tom Towns and Larry Hayes. But he does have a first down as the Argos quickly come out. They put it up with that run and shoot and get out to the 48-yard line.
Boy, just an excellent job by Bronk slipping into that hole on the right side of the defense of the Edmonton Eskimos. First down for the Argonauts, and they start off with people going all over the place, Lee.
Nice way to start the ball game. You pick up that initial first down, relaxes everybody.
Gain was 13 yards. It is first down, Argonauts. Holloway runs into Dave Fennell, and he will get credit for the sack back at the 46-yard line. Obviously, good defensive coverage by that Eskimo secondary, because Holloway had nobody to throw to.
Well, he didn't have anybody to throw to, Pat, because they did an excellent job back there. Dale Potter running with the inside receivers.
It'll be second and 12.
Watch the big rush by David Fennell, number 65. He's working against Doug Smith, the offensive center. He just does a great job of keeping that containment coming from inside out. A big play by Dave Fennell.
So make it second down, 12 yards to go. Toronto, the ball at their 46-yard line, the first offensive series of the game. Holloway throws for Terry Greer. It goes off his fingertips. Good coverage there by Tom Towns, who was on him instantly.
Leaf, that type of offense where the Argonauts line up everybody on one side. Obviously, we talked about that with Ron Lancaster before the ball game. They're trying to use the great ability of Terry Greer. But one thing the Eskimos are going to do, they're going to drop that weak side linebacker. And you saw Tom Towns back there trying to help out.
Tommy Towns came out and made the play. And, you know, he put a really good hit on Terry Greer. Terry was a little slow getting up.
Dean Dorsey, the man who came in to replace Zenon Andrusishin about 6 weeks ago and has done an excellent job, is back to punt for Toronto on 3rd and 12. He hangs it high, and this will be Larry Hayes from his 21-yard line. And Hayes is dropped before he can get to the 25 by a Toronto boy, Jan Karinci, number 27. So when we come back, the Eskimos will start inside that 25. Our telecast of Grey Cup 82 resumes in a moment. The Edmonton Eskimos, who outscored their closest competitors by more than 100 points over this 1982 season, get set to put the ball into play for the first time this afternoon with Warren Moon, who threw for more than 5,000 yards at the controls. First down, Edmonton, the ball at their 25-yard line. Goes out to Neil Lumsden. Lumsden slips by the initial tackle of Leo Gray, gets to the 40-yard line before JoJo Heath finally brings him down. But just as the Argos started with a first down, the Eskimos reply with one of their own.
Well, there you see that backfield for the Eskimos, and Neil Lumsden down on the ground shaking up on that play. But Warren Moon, what can we say about him? Just a tremendous season. But you know, Frank, who made the initial play on that was Leo Gray, and he's in the lineup because of that injury to Zach Henderson.
Well, Leaf, I tell you, the Eskimos come out with a little bit of a different formation change themselves. Germany lined up on the left side, came back in to provide a little bit of extra protection as you look at that offensive lineup of Edmonton. Neil Lumsden slipping out into the left flat, and you saw how big a factor he was in the 1981 Grey Cup game.
He always seems to come up big in the big important games, and just a tremendous fullback. And
Well, let's take a look and see how Neil Lumsden was shaken up on that play as JoJo Heath brought him down.
I think he got a shoulder pad or a helmet in the knee, and he landed on his elbow, so I think the big guy will be back.
But that's one thing that the Toronto secondary has really done all year. The teams have caught a lot of balls against them, but they've made them pay the price when they do catch the football.
Sean Kehoe, number 31, comes in to replace Neil Lumsden at that fullback spot. It is first down. Edmonton, the ball at their 42-yard line. There is no score early in the first quarter. Moon throws for Brian Kelly. It goes incomplete. Darrell Wilson, number 13, was covering for the Argonauts.
Incomplete.
Well, I'll tell you what, great protection for Warren Moon as you look at the defensive unit of Toronto. Big Bill Stevenson just blew out of there, knocking back the left defensive end, Rick Moore, to give Warren Moon a lot of time to roll out to the right side.
And you know, Frank, as far as the Toronto defense is concerned, they have to get that pressure from Rick Moore. He's their leading sacker on the season, and he's the guy that they count on.
Moore's number 76 at that left defensive end spot.
It is second down. Eskimos, the ball at the Edmonton 42-yard line. There was movement by Rusty Olson as Moon delivers again intended for Brian Kelly, but it's incomplete. Flags are down on the play, and it would appear that Rusty Olson jumped offside and did. So the Eskimos will accept the 5-yard penalty to make it second down repeated with 5 yards to go. Otherwise, they'd have been punting.
Warren Moon, Pat, looks like he's starting off a little shaky, a little reminiscent of last year's Grey Cup, if you'll recall that.
Offside, Toronto, number 79, second down repeated.
So the Eskimos accept the 5-yard penalty on Rusty Olson jumping offside. It brings up second and 5. Bud Ulrich of Winnipeg, a school teacher out in the Manitoba capital, is the man in charge this afternoon. Moon delivers. Waddell Smith has the first down as he gets into Toronto territory at the 48-yard line. Ed Jackson, the linebacker, number 7, he was there to make the stop.
Leaf, a little bit of a different type of pattern for the Edmonton Eskimos with Tommy Scott on the outside, Waddell Smith coming under him.
And he comes underneath, and that time Warren Moon put the ball on target, and a big play. You know, the Argonauts got called for that offside, gave the Edmonton Eskimos a second chance, and they take advantage of those breaks.
Well, the best way in the world to take the fire out of a ball club is move it offensively against them, and the Eskimos are doing that so far.
Back-to-back first downs. They have the ball at the Toronto 48. Germany fell down. He was obviously the intended ball carrier. Moon has to carry it himself and gets very close to 5 yards on the game as Steve Aykroyd forced him out at that point, number 26. Aykroyd incidentally playing in place of the injured Zach Henderson.
6-yard
Pat, you're absolutely right. Leo Blanchard, the right offensive guard, you'll see him there, number 55, will step behind his offensive center. He's looking for Pointer, the middle linebacker. That's where Germany was supposed to go.
No, you're on top.
It did not happen, but Moon, with his great athletic ability, picks up 7 yards.
They spot the ball at the Toronto 41, so it is second and 3. Edmonton from that point. This is Germany this time. He has the first down and drives into Toronto's 33-yard line. The stop for the Argos was made by Steve Aykroyd, number 26, once again.
And what a block by Big Bill Stevenson, the right tackle. There you see Hugh Campbell. He has to be pleased. At this point, his offense is doing the job, picking up some first downs, but Frank Bill Stevenson just really put a great trap on you.
Some very, very good offensive line patterns, and they're something they don't use a whole lot, trap blocking and cross blocking.
First down, Edmonton at the Toronto 32-yard line. The give is to Germany again. And he gets to the line of scrimmage not much further. John Pointer had good penetration, and that allowed Rusty Olson and Rick Moore to move in as well.
Germany carried. Moore and Wilson.
Talk about people who really were reincarnated in 1982. John Pointer came over from the Eskimos, got a starting job as the middle linebacker for the Argos, and he really was one of the high points of their season.
No, come on, Pat. Just because he comes with the Argonauts doesn't mean he's reincarnated.
But when you haven't won for 30 years, that's like being reincarnated. Second down, 9 yards to go, Edmonton. Moon's pass to Brian Kelly goes incomplete. Kelly actually had not made his turn when the ball came sailing by him.
Leaf, it looked like Moon was a little over-anxious in throwing that football.
He really was, Frank. His offensive line gave him plenty of time to throw the football, but as Pat mentioned, Kelly had not made his cut. Warren Moon let the ball go, and he was off target.
So we will see the all-time leading scorer in Canadian Football League history as Warren Moon leaves the field. Dave Cutler and his field goal unit team comes on, and it will come from the 38-yard line. Cliff Olander, the backup quarterback to Warren Moon, will hold. And Cutler is good. He seldom misses when the pressure is on. Dave Cutler has given the Edmonton Eskimos a 3-0 lead. With 8:31 left to play in the opening quarter, Grey Cup 82 from Toronto returns in a moment. Well, there he is, Dave Cutler, 61 points in his Grey Cup career, and he has just given the Eskimos a 3-0 lead. But I'll tell you, it's amazing. 54,000 people plus here at Exhibition Stadium. 90% of them cheering for the Argos, and they're very quiet right now. Jim Germany said earlier in the week, we've got to quiet them early, and Dave Cutler did that with that field goal from 38 yards out. Toronto beginning from their 35-yard line. The pass intended for Cedric Minter was really drilled in there by Conrad Holloway, and the Argo running back could not hang on.
Second and 10.
Crossing pattern with Newman going to the outside, and I'll guarantee you Newman was wide open on the sideline, the far sideline.
Well, Newman was wide open, but Cedric Minter should have made this catch. I have to think that he saw Dan Kepley coming, knew he was going to get hit, and just didn't really concentrate, Frank, on bringing that football in.
If Kepley around the middle there, that'd be a good reason to drop.
I'll tell you what, I coughed up a few in front of him.
Second and 10 Argos from their 35. Holloway is going deep for Minter. He turned one way, the ball was over his other shoulder, and he simply was not able to catch up to it.
Holloway's pass intended for Minter, incomplete.
And so, for the second time here in the first quarter, Dean Dorsey in the punting unit comes out on the field for Toronto.
Well, that time Holloway got time to throw the football, and it would have been a tremendous catch by Cedric Minter, putting it over the outside shoulder away from the defensive back, but the pass was incomplete, and Toronto has to give up the football.
That was Mike McLeod on defense. He's probably the only defensive back that could keep up with Cedric Minter going that deep.
Mike McLeod has plenty of speed, and they play those 5 imports back there for that reason, so he can cover those fast backs.
Gary Hayes and Emilio Frietta back to take this punt from Dean Dorsey. Hayes on the move, takes it at the 45. Ed Jackson makes the stop, but not before the Edmonton punt return. It's out very close to midfield. The wind is favoring the Eskimos in this opening quarter, but it's a swirling wind here on the shores of Lake Ontario.
30-yard punt by Dorsey, 10-yard return. It'll be first down.
It seems like it's shifted since the opening kickoff. When Cutler hit it, it seemed that he was against the wind.
I just want to make mention of the fact that this is the 100th anniversary of football in this country, and we'd like to say thanks to the thousands of volunteers who devote so much time to amateur football across Canada. You do a super job.
Have you broadcast them all, Pat?
First down, Eskimos from midfield. Came from Rick Moore initially, and then Earl Bubba Wilson was there to haul him back at his own 48-yard line.
Sacked by
we talked about very early in this ball game, Big Bill Stevenson, number 62, blowing Moore out of there. He's 76, a left defensive end. Moore just goes with that pressure, and they also get a great rush from the inside. Earl Wilson, and both of them come in there with great pressure. Watch Stevenson. Just steps back. Jim Germany gets in his way just a bit, and that's the first time they've had really good pressure on Warren Moon.
Well, there you get a look at Earl Wilson. He was in on that sack, but you know, Rick Moore is really the key. We talked about him. He was out early, halfway through the season. Their sack production really decreased. He was back the later part of the year, and the defense really picked up with him in there.
That's an excellent point, because Rick Moore only played half the season and ended up tied for the most sacks with his counterpart on the other side, Rusty Olson.
Well, Pat, you know, the Argonauts really depend on that front four to apply most of the pressure. That's very different from the Edmonton Eskimos. They'll give you a lot more defensive alignments and a lot of different people rushing the passer.
The loss was 7 yards. It is 2nd and 17 Eskimos back at their 48. Moon throws for Brian Kelly. They rule no good. He made the catch, but the official decided that he was out of the field of play. Let's go to Bill Stevenson.
There's a concern on the Edmonton bench with Tommy Scott, who, of course, is the West's most outstanding player, this excellent receiver. He's having back spasms. They were trying to fix him earlier. He went back into play, but he had to leave after, or in fact, throughout the sequence that just took place. So Tommy Scott is having a few injury problems, and that would certainly hurt this offense of the Eskimos.
Thunderfoot is back. Big Hank Olisic standing at his 32 with Newman, number 32, and Carinci, 27. Back to return for Toronto. What a boot. Carinci is at his 7-yard line. And the leading punt returner in Eastern Canada gets it to about the 18.
Dan Carinci returned the punt for the
Dan
Argos.
Kearns, number 58, was there to make the stop.
Made the tackle.
Boy, Dan Kearns did a good job, too, because there was a bit of a seam there, and had Carinci got through that seam, he had some room to run.
Well, it's incumbent upon the Argos right now to see if they can chew up some of this clock.
It'll be first down for the Argonauts.
48 seconds left to play. Bob Obilovich came in as an assistant coach from the Ottawa Rough Riders, turned the entire franchise around. A year ago, they won 2 games. This year, they won 9, lost 6, and tied 1. He has the first down. The outstanding player in all of Canada in 1982, Conrad Holloway, gets the ball out to the 31-yard line.
14-yard gain.
And I'll tell you what, he avoids the outstanding defensive player in the country this year, James Parker. You'll see him come from the top, and Tommy Towns come from the bottom.
First
Number
down,
20, Conrad just steps up in the middle of him and does a great job on his own ability.
He picked up 13 yards, so it is first down. Toronto, the ball at their 31. Holloway throws it into the middle. He was looking for David Newman, and he just couldn't bring it in with one hand.
For Dave Newman. Incomplete.
Probably just as well. He'd have been hammered by Towns or Kepley. Tommy Scott is leaving the playing area and going to the dressing room.
But you know, Frank, the Edmonton secondary and their linebackers are getting such deep drops now with Toronto's passing game. I would think that Holloway will have to dump the ball off at some point to either Cedric Minner out of the backfield or Bob Brock.
And possibly move around a little bit more. We saw him move just to play before last. He was very successful with it. Dropped back 2 or 3 times, a little surprising.
2nd and 10, Argos. Flags come down. And Holloway gets away from Parker again. Drops the ball. It falls right into the hands of Doug Smith. And Smith will have an Argo first down. That's something else that happened in 82. The Argo bounce came back.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, Pat. You saw something you don't see very often in 1982 or any other year, and that's James Parker miss a tackle. Watch this.
Well, you'll see Holloway, the pressure coming, and boy, he just has a sixth sense of being able to get away from that pressure. But you'll see the ball come loose here, and as Pat said, the Argo bounces back in 82 as Doug Smith, the center, makes an alert play. But unfortunately, a penalty flag on the play, and the Argonauts are moved back.
The Argos were offside on the play.
Don Whitman, who's helping us observe this, and of course will help the CBC broadcast the second half of this ballgame, tells us it was Paul Pearson. Got it?
Well,
thank you, Don.
Paul Pearson's an old friend of yours from UBC days.
Sure he is. I still claim to coach him, except when he jumps offside.
Well, Paul Pearson did have a fine year, 62 receptions on the season, and he was a big reason why the Argonauts had so much success throwing the football.
Let's go to Bill Stevenson.
Pat, we have found out exactly what's wrong with Tommy Scott. He's gone to the dressing room because of a bruised rib. He took an elbow in the rib. Dr. Cameron said, we've sent him in to have the rib looked at, taped up, but he said, I think he will be back and will be able to play. But that is Tommy Scott's problem, a bruised rib from an elbow.
Well, the officials taking a little bit of a timeout as they check with the timers bench. The scoreboard clock shows 4:23 left to play in the opening quarter. The Eskimos are out in front 3-0. Toronto with a 2nd and 15 from their 26-yard line.
That's man-to-man, Leaf. They're moving all over the place.
And they come back to Emmanuel Tolbert. Tolbert breaks the tackle. He has great speed. Can anybody catch him? No, sir. Nobody is going to get Emmanuel Tolbert. Touchdown, Toronto. On the first play that this man has performed in 1982, Emmanuel Tolbert goes 89 yards for the touchdown.
Well, Frank, you know, there was some criticism on Bob Obilovich changing to Emmanuel Tolbert from this game from Scott McGee, but boy, does he look like a genius after this play. And you know, Dan Kepley missed the tackle. He had a good shot at him.
Leaf, before that ball was snapped, I called out man-to-man. You could see everybody going to the right. You could see the Eskimos going with them. It was man-to-man coverage. Tolbert simply beat the coverage and then beat Dan Kepley. What a great play for the Argonauts.
And you know, he got a good block downfield from Terry Greer, his pal down there, to spring him the last 15 yards for the touchdown.
The very first play as a Toronto Argonaut, Emmanuel Tolbert goes for the touchdown. Dean Dorsey's point after is good, and the Toronto Argonauts have jumped in front of the Edmonton Eskimos 7-3. This is Grey Cup 82 from Toronto.
Emmanuel Tolbert, your very first play as an Argonaut.
Yeah, I tell you, it was just a simple screen, something we worked on, feel like we had some success against Edmonton. And all I saw was daylight. I just went through an open area, got some good blocks downfield, it was over.
You've obviously been preparing.
Oh yeah, I've been preparing, waiting for the chance to come in and help the team. I'm just happy it happened.
Joe Holloman with the kickoff return for the Eskimos only gets to the 27-yard line before Mike Hamillock, the backup center, number 44, was there to make the stop. Incidentally, that great touchdown by Emmanuel Tolbert will go into the books as the fourth longest in Grey Cup history. Paul Decker of Hamilton, Red O'Quinn of Montreal had 90 yards. Whit Tucker of the Ottawa Rough Riders had 86. And Emmanuel Tolbert joins a very select group.
Well, Frank, we suggested there'd be a lot of offense today, and what an offensive play that was.
You know, somebody also got a piece of Larry Highball on that play. We're going to show that at halftime for a highlight and see who that was. We're going to give him a bit of credit as well.
From the 28-yard line, the Eskimos trail 7-3, start with a first down. The pass is complete to Waddell Smith. Smith is hit by Wilson as he gets to the 35-yard line.
This pass was completed to Waddell Smith.
Credit Waddell Smith with a pickup of very close to 8. Well, the 54,000 were quiet somewhat after that field goal by Dave Cutler.
8-yard
They sure came alive on that sensational pass play, Holloway to Tolbert.
Well, Frank, nothing fancy about this. Try and get a little momentum reestablished, and Waddell Smith on the sidelines.
Much better throw by Warren Moon. Maybe those initial jitters have gone away now for the veteran quarterback.
Moon did suffer from the flu earlier in the week, but apparently he's 100% right now. Second and about a yard and a half to go from the 36-yard line of the Eskimos. Neil Lumsden, the ball carrier, coughs up the ball. Who has it? Boy, Ed Jackson had the initial shot, but he wasn't able to squeeze it. Steve Ackroyd had another shot at the ball.
Boy, you're right, Pat. Ed Jackson had it in his mitts. It just seemed to pop loose, and the Eskimos recovered.
Leo Blanchard, number 59, the right guard, recovered for the Eskimos.
Jackson, that left linebacker, certainly had an opportunity. Watch it, Leaf.
On the 42.
Boy, he had it in his hands and slips away, and difficult to tell who makes the fumble recovery, but the Eskimos do retain possession and pick up a first down.
Well, as Art Darts pointed out, it is Leo Blanchard, and the Eskimos have a first down at their 42-yard line. Moon's pass is complete to Brian Kelly, but what a hit by JoJo Heath. And Kelly is slow to get up. How he hung on to that is
I'll
unbelievable.
guarantee you there are not a whole lot of people in the Canadian Football League now or at any time who would have held that football.
Just a tremendous effort by Brian Kelly to hang on to it, but watch the hit by JoJo Heath.
Well, we suggested that the Argonaut secondary was aggressive, and you see why right there.
Oh, boy, they can't afford to leave Kelly with Scott, the outstanding player in the Western Conference this year, already in the dressing room with an injury.
First down, Edmonton at the Toronto 47. The give is to Germany. And he struggles to about the 44-yard line for a pickup of about 3 yards. John Pointer and Ed Jackson, the middle and outside linebacker, combine on the stop. What do you say about this man, Huey Campbell, except he has the most successful coaching record in CFL history. Been in the league 6 years. This is his 6th Grey Cup, looking to win 5 in a row.
Mike just mentioned, Pat, in 2nd and long now, Toronto has taken out Tim Berryman, the linebacker, and brought in Merv Walker to that 6 defensive back scheme.
It is 2nd and 6 for the Eskimos. Moon throws, and the catch is made by Waddell Smith with Darrell Wilson, number 13, on the coverage. It's another first down, Eskimos at the 30.
Wilson made the tackle. Waddell Smith under a lot of pressure and some criticism in circles in Western Conference football this year because of dropping a few good balls when he was wide open, but he's having an outstanding first quarter of this game. We're down to the last 45 seconds now of the first quarter, and the Eskimos once again moving that football.
Moving in with the wind at their back. They trail 7-3. They have a first down at the Toronto 30. Moon runs out of it. He has a first down and is down to about the 17-yard line. The hit by Harold Woods, number 8.
Warren Moon carried. Harold Woods made the tackle.
Leaf, once again, the Argonauts are depending strictly on that front four to put pressure on Moon, and when you do that, they're going to find a hole in that area. Once in a while, Tommy Scott, number 22, now returning to the field of play. He is not on the field. I shouldn't say that. He's come out of the dressing room and is going now to the Eskimo sideline.
The gain was 14 yards by Warren Moon. It is first down, Edmonton at the Toronto 17. Throw is complete to him. He's dropped the ball. The Argos are hustling for it, but it is ruled an incomplete pass. As the gun sounds to end the first quarter of this 1982 Grey Cup game, and at the end of the first quarter, it is Toronto 7, Edmonton 3. Grey Cup 82 continues after this. Well, there's a look at what has happened in that opening quarter. 108 yards for Toronto, 84 of them on the touchdown pass by Emmanuel Tolbert. 2nd and 10, Eskimos. The pass complete to Brian Kelly for the touchdown. A beautiful throw by Warren Moon right into the hands of Brian Kelly. Joe Heath was providing the defensive coverage. Kelly drove him deep, then just broke out, and Moon put it right on the money, and the Eskimos are back in front.
Good throw by Warren Moon, as you indicated, Pat. But you know Brian Kelly, the smart receiver that he is, deep in the end zone, he gives Joe Heath a little push-off here, and that brings him open at the end. He makes the catch.
I tell you, Neil Lumpson did a great job leading his quarterback around that left side, number 32. Let's take a look at Cutler's extra point attempt.
High pass from center, but Olander brings it down, and Cutler is good. So with 14:46 left to play in the first half, the Eskimos are out in front of Toronto, 10-7.
This is the advantage of having a 225-pound fullback. Watch as Neil Lumpson comes to his left side. Rusty Olson, number 79, cannot get back and put pressure on quarterback Warren Moon. You give him that much time, he's going to hit the people, particularly people like Brian Kelly and the great patterns that he can run.
Well, he ran a good pattern there. You get a chance to see him on the sideline. He's been their spark plug so far here in the first half, and as I indicated, gave Joe Heath a little push in the end zone, but, you know, you got to do that every once in a while, Frank.
Push comes to shove, partner. Take a look at it once again, and watch the perfect strike by the veteran Warren Moon. Probably throws as good running to his left as any quarterback I've ever seen, Lee.
Well, he does. Tom Clemenson Hamilton does a great job, but Warren Moon, as you indicated, he's so good when he gets out, breaks that containment.
Well, we suggested there would be some points scored in this game. We've had 17 already, and we've only played a quarter and 14 seconds. Dave Cutler is set. He kicks it high, not too deep. Heath dropped the ball, then falls on it immediately at his 28-yard line. Tried to take it on the dead run, couldn't handle it. And the Argos will start inside their 30.
Here's a look at Joe. He was victimized by Brian Kelly on that touchdown, and maybe a little nerves getting the better of him on that fielding that kickoff.
Let's go to Bill Stevenson.
Well, the man you were talking about, Brian Kelly. Brian, tell us how the touchdown came about, what the play was.
I was just supposed to run an out pattern, and the cornerback played it good, so I pushed him down, and I ended up open. I got lucky.
Well, just as another receiver indicated, Leif Pedersen said that's exactly what Brian had done. Holloway scrambles out to about the 33-yard line for a pickup of 5. He wanted to throw it, saw the pressure from Dave Fennell originally. Tom Tuinay was there too, and then he decided to hustle himself, and he picks up close to 6 yards.
Said he was looking for Tolbert once again, working against Larry Highball, who he beat for that touchdown a little earlier, but Larry kind of hit him a couple of times over on that sideline.
Boy, I tell you, it's been a great week here in Toronto. As much activity and fun as we've seen in a long, long time. Those two fellows will attest to that. Holloway again felt the pressure, runs it himself, and gets the first down at the 42-yard line. Discretion being the better part of valor. He had Parker on the outside and Dan Kepley looking him right in the eye, so he went down.
Well, one of the reasons why we're seeing Holloway have to go to that run so much in this first half, Edmonton just doing an outstanding job with their linebackers and secondary. That time, Dale Potter and Gary Hayes double teaming the inside receivers. Just nobody to throw to, Frank.
Also, there's nobody to run the football. They're putting everybody up the line of scrimmage as potential receivers on a lot of plays. Holloway's the only one that can take off. Here's another example of that.
First down, Toronto from the 42, going deep, looking for David Newman. He makes the catch, but he was out of bounds. Ed Jones was with him step for step. And there was no question and certainly no dispute that he was out of the playing field.
Good play by Ed Jones. Dave Newman running a little out and up, and Ed Jones, the great defensive back that he's been in his career with the Eskimos, stays with him step for step, and had Newman made the catch, he would have been out of bounds. You know, Frank, an interesting statistic to me was Ed Jones only had 1 interception this year. That's just, I can't believe it.
And yet his teammate right next to him, Joe Holloman, led the Canadian Football League with 9.
Brings up a 2nd and 10, Argos, from their 42-yard line. They trail by 3 points.
Over here!
Holloway throws for Terry Greer. He makes the catch after taking the hit from Joe Holloman.
I'll tell you, that's absolutely just great football. A great pattern, an excellent throw, and the defensive guys are all at one time.
Frank, that's a good example of the run-and-shoot offense. Holloway 3 steps back, Terry Greer in a quick slant pattern. It's a timing pattern, but look at the great catch by Greer. I can assure you he's done that all season.
And Holloman is right there. Absolutely nothing he can do about it.
And Holloman's a hitter out there in the corner, too. When you catch the ball, he'll be right there.
16 yards the gain. First down, Toronto at the Edmonton 52-yard line. The toss goes to Cedric Minter. The first running play by a running back for the Argonauts this afternoon, and he actually loses about a yard as Ed Jones forced him out. Simply wouldn't let him around the corner.
2nd and 11.
I don't think that's a play we're going to see too much today, Pat. You know, Conrad Holloway, he almost considers running the football a wasted play in their style of offense.
The Argos went from a 2-14 season in 1981 to a 9-6-1 in first place in the Eastern Conference in 1982, and then destroyed Ottawa in the Eastern Final last week. 2nd and 11, Argos.
Same type of formation they hit that major touchdown on.
Let's see if they go to Talbot again. He's looking at him. Goes into the middle instead. Paul Pearson. And Pearson will be very close to the first down. Gary Hayes makes the stop.
Hayes made the tackle.
Just great offensive thinking by the Toronto Argonaut Football Club. They're isolating Tolbert up on top with Larry Highball, and then get Paul Pearson coming from that slot back position over the middle. He also has got man-to-man coverage by Gary Hayes, number 28. Good throw again by Holloway, but boy, good thinking by the Argonaut offensive strategist.
Well, Frank, you know, you and Ron Lancaster talked about Holloway getting that pre-read when they use all that motion. That time, no question what coverage they were going to be in.
Let's give Roland Mangold some credit for picking up the blitz by Dan Kepley on that previous play. Holloway goes down at the Edmonton 35-yard line, but he'll have a pickup of 6 yards. Kepley and Dave Fennell
6-yard gain.
are there to make sure he didn't get up and go any further.
And that's what really makes it all work for the Argonauts. great athletic talent of the outstanding player in Canada in 1982. Makes no hesitation, just brings that ball back down and sees some daylight.
10.5 minutes left to play in the first half. Edmonton 10, Toronto 7. Bob Obilovich, first year as a head coach, and he's in the Grey Cup. Holloway's throw is complete to Terry Greer inside the 20 at the 19-yard line. Another first down for the Argonauts. Cedric Minter a little slow getting to his feet.
Holloway trying to get some inside help from Ed Jones, number 24, but Jones does not get there in time.
Well, Edmonton sitting back in zone coverage that time. Same slant pass to Greer, same results, because you're going to have a natural seam right there where you see Greer catching the football.
You saw Jones slip and fall just when he was trying to provide underneath coverage on Greer.
First down, Toronto. The ball at the Edmonton 18-yard line. They trail by 3. Tom Tuanay couldn't hold on to him, and Holloway is inside the 10 to about the 9. Very close to another first down. David Boone and Gary Hayes finally bring him down, but Tom Tuanay had a marvelous opportunity to get the Toronto quarterback back to the line of scrimmage.
Leaf, you know what the Toronto Argonauts have done? They've neutralized James Parker in this drive. He has not pressured quarterback Conrad Holloway at all. Bob Brock, the big fullback, has picked him up on most occasions. He is not a factor right now.
You know, Frank, I talked to their offensive line coach, Bob Palcic, this week. That was their game plan. Bob Brock's number 1 assignment today was to control James Parker. But, you know, you have to be impressed with the calmness of Conrad Holloway. He hangs in there, looks downfield, and he's running the football so successfully this first half.
Argos come up a yard short of the first down. The ball is just inside the Edmonton 10-yard line. Short yardage offense for the Argos. Holloway fakes with the play action and now moves to his left. Puts it into the end zone for Greer. Touchdown! There is a flag in the end zone, but Terry Greer has given the Argos the lead if it is not against Toronto.
Patrick, Larry Heimbach will be called for interference. He just out and out grabbed Terry Greer in the end zone, but Greer didn't give up. He kept going. There you see him. He's got the touchdown, Frank.
I think you're absolutely right, and that's the second time in the first half of this ballgame that the veteran Larry Heimbach has been beat for a major score. You'll see it at the top of your screen. Heimbach, number 13, the leading receiver in the history of the Canadian Football League, and Greer just goes up high to score the second Argonaut major.
But you know what I like? I like second and short. Big one play action and throw the football. That's, to me, I like that style of
like
offense.
the athletic talent of that young quarterback, Conrad Holloway.
Not too bad.
The point after by Dean Dorsey is good. We've got 8 minutes, 59 seconds left to play in this sensational first half. The Toronto Argonauts are out in front of the Edmonton Eskimos 14-10. Grey Cup 82 from Toronto returns in a moment.
Terry Greer, are you surprised they're not double teaming you?
Well, not really. I really don't expect Edmonton to change their scheme of things on the count of me. But I was kind of surprised. We thought they would give us a little double coverage, but the second half, I think they will.
Describe the play.
Well, it was a backside play. Combs got in trouble. They had other side covered, so I was got open.
Thank you.
All right.
Joe Holloman starts from his 5-yard line, and he slips down inside the 20. Gord Elser was first down. Ed Jackson was there too, number 70. And the Eskimos will battle not only that Argonaut defensive alignment, but also the wind starting inside their 20 at about the 18.
Boy, Frank, how many times have you seen after a team scores a touchdown on that kickoff, it really fires that special team up?
No question about that. And I tell you, watch Conrad Holloway on that last touchdown because he really paid the price. His helmet was completely knocked off, and I believe it was Tom Tuanay, number 60, who got in there. But far too late from the Eskimos' point of view.
Eskimos now trail 14-10, starting from their 18-yard line. They swing it out to Lumsden, and he's wrapped up by Harold Woods, but he has the first down to about the 29.5-yard line. Lumsden shaken up earlier in the ball game. Back full strength and picks up 12 yards.
A little surprising, Pat. Brian Kelly was not in on first down. Marco Sinkar was the wide receiver for the Eskimos, but Kelly's returned to that lineup now.
Eskimos with a first down just inside their 30. Moon fires, runs, then he makes the catch and has another first down for Edmonton at the 46-yard line of the Eskimos.
Pat, I believe that was Tommy Scott, and that's the type of pattern that the Eskimos run at least half a dozen times a ball game. Scott on that breakout trying to find the seam between that underneath coverage and the deep coverage, and he did it there, just managed to stay in bounds.
He did.
From that slot back spot, Lee.
He lets Waddell Smith take it deep and clear it out for him, and it's an easy pattern where you just sit in there and find the open seam.
First down, Eskimos at their 46. The throw is complete to Brian Kelly, and he steps out in Toronto territory at the 54-yard line, and he'll be just short of the first down. Let's go to Bill Stevenson.
Larry Highball, one of the excellent defensive backs. Larry, your defense seems to be having a little confusion out there.
Well, right now, the guys up front and the linebackers, we're just not going where we're supposed to be going. And when you give Holloway time, he'll kill any defensive back in the league. And we got Terry Greer coming down running those slant patterns. We just have to get down to where the guys in front know where they're going. And the defensive backs, we have to start covering a little bit better.
It is second and a yard to go. Edmonton, the ball at the Toronto 54.5. Moon keeps it himself, has the first down, and gets the ball into about the Toronto 51 or 52-yard line. 7 minutes, 3 seconds left to play in the first half. Toronto 14, Edmonton 10. It's been a dandy.
Pat, we talked about the fact that we've got number 1 and number 2 as far as offensive football teams out here today. No disappointment so far for sure.
Well, the CFL averaged more than 51 points a game. We've already got 28 with half the second quarter to go. The screen to Waddell Smith. Smith was grabbed from behind by Tim Berryman as he got to the 41-yard line, and he'll be close to another Eskimo first down. This has been an impressive drive.
Well, Warren Moon really mixing his plays up very well now. Quick outs, and now the quick screen to Waddell Smith, the same type of play that Emmanuel Tolbert scored on earlier. But Frankie gets some good blocking out in front of him as well.
Well, they like that. They turned around and put a little Toronto offense right back into theirs. They motioned everybody to the right side and hit Waddell all alone.
First down, Eskimos from the Toronto 41. Moon looking for Brian Kelly all alone for the major score. And the Eskimos are back in front.
Just an absolute great individual effort by Brian Kelly as he turned Darrell Wilson inside out, beat him with that post pattern, and Warren Moon had plenty of time to throw it. Leaf, take a look.
Well, there's no question one of the best and most precision pattern runners in the league is Brian Kelly. That time a little fake to the outside, turned Darrell Wilson completely around, and that's an easy touchdown.
Brian Fryer also working on that side, made Darrell Wilson cover him man-to-man, and you can't do that very often with Brian Kelly. Toronto Argonauts have found that out twice in the first half.
I tell you, we talked about offense, and are we ever seeing a display?
The point after by Dave Cutler is good. It seesaws back and forth. 5 minutes, 52 seconds left to play in the first half. Edmonton 17, Toronto 14. This is Grey Cup 82 from Toronto.
Time to throw the football by Warren Moon, and Brian Kelly with just a great individual effort, a post pattern, beating Wilson very easily into the end zone. The Edmonton Eskimos move ahead 17-14.
We've got 5:52 left to play in this first half. Dave Cutler is set. This is Terry Greer from his 10-yard line. Good coverage by that special unit. Tommy Towns was first there, then Manchuk was there too, and Toronto will be starting inside their 30-yard line.
19-yard return. First down for the Argonauts on the 29.
Now, touchdown pass to Emmanuel Tolbert and one to Terry Greer. Let's see who's next. Bill Stevenson, what's happening?
Brian Kelly's been having problems. He had a hyperextension of the knee. This occurred very early in the ball game. He's been playing with it, and as you can see, tremendously well with 2 touchdowns. Now, every time we try to get a shot of them working on his knee, they send out a ball boy to stand in front, so we can't. However, that's a problem for Brian Kelly.
And Conrad Holloway had himself a problem, too, as he goes down at about the 27-yard line. Dave Fennell wouldn't get out of his way. Consequently, Holloway had no place to go.
I'll tell you, I want to show you that great battle that's going out there between Bob Bronk, number 34, and the outstanding player in the country this year defensively, James Parker. And Bronk is doing just a tremendous job of keeping him out of there. Look at that. He stops him at the line of scrimmage. Parker obviously coming up with a great effort, but so far the Argonauts are neutralizing him.
Got a bit of a problem with the football, so they'll make an exchange. As Toronto lines up offensively, we take a look at James Quick Parker. Really has not been a factor in this first half because of the play, as Riggs just mentioned, of Bob Bronk. 2nd and 11, Toronto from their 27-yard line. Holloway over the middle for Paul Pearson. He tried to make a one-handed grab and couldn't bring it in. Good coverage in that deep secondary by the Edmonton Eskimos. And so the Argos will be punting.
Well, Frank, you know, one thing that I think is interesting, the Eskimos are not blitzing nearly as much as I remember them, and they just seem to be thinking their front 4 and front 3 can get enough pressure on the quarterback because they're getting great drops from those linebackers.
I think they're a little concerned against Conrad Holloway because he's taken off with that football so well against them.
On 3rd and 12, Dean Dorsey stands inside the Toronto 15-yard line to boot to Gary Hayes, number 28, or Emilio Frietta, number 37. This will be Frietta from his 42-yard line. Frietta gets to about the 49, and that's where the Edmonton Eskimo offense will take over. Eskimos out in front of Toronto, 17-14. Grey Cup 82 from Toronto returns in a moment.
Toronto assistant coach Bob Pelsick, you are really doing a job neutralizing Shenley Winter Parker.
Well, I tell you what, we're not doing anything special, Brian. It's just that Bob Bronk is doing a super job right now. I just got to hope that he keeps it up for the remainder of the ball game.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
It has been a sensational first half. 4 minutes and 15 seconds left to play in the second quarter. Edmonton 17, Toronto 14. But really now the pressure is on the Argonaut defense as the Eskimos start from their 49-yard line. The give is to Lumsden. A gaping hole as Big Neal gallops into Toronto territory and is finally brought down by John Pointer, the middle linebacker, at the 49-yard line.
I'll tell you though, Pat, Heck Courtier, number 63, the left offensive tackle, did a great job of getting to Pointer to the middle linebacker, and that's absolutely the key when you want to run that kind of play. Watch Pointer, he's number 37, Heck Courtier, number 63.
The gain was 12 yards. It is first down Edmonton at the Toronto 48. Throws complete to Brian Fryer. His first catch of the ball game is to the 35-yard line, and another Eskimo first down. John Pointer made the stop again for the Argos.
You know, when Warren Moon rolls to that wide side of the field, he knows he's going to get zone coverage to the backside, to the short side of the field. That time, Brian Fryer, the excellent receiver he is, just hooked up between Tim Berryman and John Pointer, the linebackers, and that's an easy play when you got receivers like Brian Fryer who can find those seams.
All right, we're down to the final 3 minutes of this first half. The Edmonton Eskimos are out in front of the Toronto Argonauts, 17-14. This is Grey Cup 82 from Toronto. 17, Toronto 14. Warren Moon has been good on 12 of 16 passes and starts with a first down from the Toronto 35-yard line. Brian Kelly makes the catch at the 22 for another Eskimo first down. Darrell Wilson Wilson made sure that he stayed down.
Leafy got down awfully quick. I think maybe he's remembering that JoJo Heath shot he took a little bit earlier in the first quarter of this ball game. Take a look at it.
I tell you what, you take a hard hit and you'll think twice the next time, but boy, Kelly does a good job. Once again, Toronto in that zone coverage, the Edmonton receivers are finding the soft spots, but look at Kelly. He's noticeably limping out there. He's having a problem with that hyperextension.
He's caught 5 passes, 2 of them for touchdowns already in this ball game. First down, Eskimos from the Toronto 22.
Tommy Scott, wide open.
Waddell Smith in the end zone, but the pass is picked up on a great play by Steve Aykroyd. Waddell Smith slipped just as he got to the ball. Aykroyd was able to make the interception and take Toronto out of a huge jam.
Leaf, I don't know if we're going to get a wide enough shot of this, but Tommy Scott was wide open. Warren Moon just did not see him down inside the 5-yard line. If you can pick it up on the left side of your screen.
Well, Frank, either he did not see him or he just had his mind made up that he was going for the home run to Waddell Smith. But Steve Aykroyd, most of the year in a backup capacity, getting a chance to start in this Grey Cup game, and what a tremendous interception and play he makes in the end zone.
What a lift for the Argonauts. They take over at their 20-yard line, trailing by 3 points. 2:27 left in the first half. Holloway throws, Greer makes the catch and slips down at the 28-yard line. He'll have a pickup of 8.
Well, there's Steve Aykroyd, the young man from Sheridan College here in the Toronto area, and as I said, mostly in a backup capacity, but today with the injury to Zach Henderson, he gets his chance to play in his first Grey Cup game.
We have not seen the footing in this ball game a major factor. However, Waddell Smith did slip to help the Argonauts pick up that interception, and so very important it was.
Clock is running with 2:10 left in the half. Argos 2nd and 2. Holloway throws. Terry Greer has the catch at the 45-yard line. Holloway was all over him. Greer was still able to hang on.
Leaf, I bet Joe Holloman is saying to himself, what do I have to do? You can't provide any better defense than that. Greer right there running that little inside slant pattern, and Holloway right on the money.
Well, Terry Greer can frustrate a lot of defensive backs in the league, and Joe Holloman, as you indicate, must be frustrated at this point because watch right here, he's over the top, tries to strip that ball loose, but there's no way against Terry Greer.
5 pass receptions for Terry Greer, including 1 for a touchdown. The Argos with a first down at their 45. Into the middle it goes to Cedric Minter. Minter has another Toronto first down into Edmonton territory at the 53.
Oh, I like it.
Let's go to Brian Williams.
Steve Aykroyd, the man that made that interception, you're replacing Zach Henderson. I thought prior to that interception, though, Moon was having a lot of success picking you guys apart.
Yeah, well, we were in a couple of zones, and of course Warren is a tremendous quarterback at picking zones apart. And he just found the open hole, and he had a little bit of time there. So by that time, we managed to squeeze receivers into the middle, and he just happened to be there.
A minute 25 left to play in the half. First down, Toronto from the Edmonton 53. James Parker makes the sack for the Eskimos on Holloway back at the 50-yard line.
Holloway sacked by James Parker.
Well, we talked about Parker being held out of there so often in this first half. Take a look at him. He's coming from the top side. James Parker, the outstanding defensive player in the Canadian Football League this year, and he makes the move on Cedric Minter, number 20, to the inside, and gets the first sack of this ball game for James Parker.
But Frank, what's interesting, that's really one of the few times in this first half that they've had that desirable matchup. Parker on a smaller back such as Cedric Minter.
Absolutely right.
The loss was 6 yards. It is 2nd and 16.
He's going to throw
this
it.
is the Terry Greer. He's going to fire it deep downfield for Paul Pearson and just over his head.
Pat, you know who's going to win this ball game? The team that has the ball last.
Well, you remember earlier in the year, Terry Greer in the game against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, he threw a perfect strike for a touchdown. Watch here, he doesn't connect with Paul Pearson, but for a wide receiver, not a bad arm, Frank.
Strangely, both of these ball clubs have that capability. Waddell Smith can also throw the football.
You know, we mentioned that the wind was at the back of the Argonauts for this second quarter, and I suspect that may have had just a little bit to do with the pass being beyond the outstretched hands of Paul Pearson, because had he made the catch, he had the touchdown.
Larry Highball was the only Eskimo anywhere near him, Pat, and he was a good 10 yards away.
Absolutely, Riggs. Dean Dorsey's punt comes to Gary Hayes at his 20-yard line, and he's snowed under there. Ackroyd was down first, and Gord Elser was there. 47 seconds left to play in this first half. The Eskimos are out in front of the Argonauts, 17-14. Well, boy, it has been a tremendous first half of this 1982 Grey Cup game, and you've got to know for a fact the second half is going to be just as good, and Don Whitman, Ronnie Lancaster, and Leo Cahill will be here to bring it to you. And so on behalf of all the CTV crew who have done football in 1982, let me just say how much we've enjoyed it, and I know the fans have too. It's been a great year. The screen is set up to Jim Germany. Germany has a first down and more. The ball comes loose. Tommy Scott dove in there. Let's see if he came up with it. He did. Eric Upton was there along with Scott as the Eskimos recover with 36 seconds left to play, and Scott is still down on the field. He dove in there to try to make that recovery.
Well, you know, Pat, that's twice this half that the Eskimos have coughed the football up and had someone else on their offensive unit recover the fumble, and you see Tommy Scott on the field, and he's had a little trouble with his health in the first half.
Well, I'll tell you what, he and Brian Kelly both with problems from time to time in this first half, and the Eskimos cannot afford to lose either one of them.
Marco Sinkar comes onto the field of play. He will replace the injured Eskimo.
Canadian Football League wishes to
36 seconds left to play in the first half. Let's take a look and see what happened on that play.
I think Tommy Scott's about the third one in there, and Berriman, number 41, gets a hit on his back. Scott had 91 receptions for 1,518 yards and 13 touchdowns. Tied with Skip Walker for the most touchdowns in the Canadian Football League this year. His best year ever.
A gray overcast day here at Exhibition Stadium in Toronto, but 54,000 plus watching one of the great first halves in Grey Cup history. The Eskimos out in front of Toronto 17-14. Tommy Scott runs off under his own steam, and that's good to see.
Pat, Cal Murphy just came over to me, the offensive coach for the Eskimos. He said, do you think anybody will ever stop anybody in this game?
Well, that's what Riggs alluded to earlier. Whoever has the ball last may well win it. Moon with time, throws. Brian Fryer has the catch at midfield. With 20 seconds left on the clock.
What do you think, Riggs? A little time left to kick a field goal, maybe?
Well, I think that's exactly what the Eskimos are thinking about. I don't think they have enough time to get the ball in the end zone, but one more throw, that kind of gain, and Dave Cutler has the capability of hitting the ball from a good 40 to 50 yards out, regardless of the win factor.
Well, I tell you, Moon's getting in the groove now.
15 out of 20 he has completed so far for 236 yards. He's got Tommy Scott for the first down at the 35-yard line. 15 seconds left in the first half. Edmonton 17, Toronto 14, and they are certainly within Dave Cutler's range now.
Well, we talked about Tommy Scott finding the soft spot in the zone, and Warren Moon found him there. Simple play to the sidelines, and boy, they moved that ball down the field in a hurry, don't they?
You saw no Argonaut near Moon. That's the key.
Clock will start on the snap of the ball. 15 seconds left in the half. Warren Moon down to the 21-yard line with 6 seconds showing on the clock. Ed Jackson was there to make the stop for the Argos. And we have a timeout as called by the Eskimos, who lead the Argos 17-14. 6 seconds left to play in the first half. This is Grey Cup 82 from Toronto. Well, you see the hierarchy of the Eskimos talking things over with Warren Moon. A slight sprinkling of rain has begun to fall here at Exhibition Stadium. Now with 6 seconds showing on the clock. Do you go for one more play, or do you bring Dave Cutler into the ball game?
week, you bring Dave Cutler into the ball game, and the only reason why I say that is I'm watching him trot onto the field, Pat. But while I have this chance, let me thank you and Bill Stevenson and the entire CTV crew for making my first year most enjoyable.
Well, thank you, League. It was a pleasure, and certainly a pleasure doing this first half, because it's been a great one. Cutler's field goal try will come from the 29-yard line. And it is good. So the Eskimos increase their lead to 6 points, 20-14, with 3 seconds showing on the clock.
Pat, I was very fortunate, as you know, in my rookie year to play in a very exciting Grey Cup game. I think this was very close to matching it. If you recall, the Hamilton Tiger Cats and ourselves 35-28. This thing might outscore that easily.
You know, we were talking about Grey Cup games, and that certainly was one of the most exciting, the one played in Vancouver that Frank is talking about. And this one is shaping up as one of the all-time great ones. Already 34 points scored with one play yet to come in this first half. The culmination to one of the great sporting weeks of the year in Canada. And Toronto won't get fancy. Holloway will take the pass from center, and he goes down on one knee. They still have a second to kill.
Well, Pat and Leaf with a second left to go. And Frank, I'd just like to say what a great season it has been for all of us and what an enjoyment it has been for me. A very enjoyable season. I'd like to add also, gentlemen, that rain that was forecast, the weatherman's completely right. It's starting to come down much harder now.
Well, thank you, Bill, and thanks to everybody at CBC for their tremendous cooperation. The score at the end of the first half, Edmonton 20, Toronto 14. We'll be back with our halftime show in just a moment.
It's halftime at Grey Cup 82, the Eskimos 20, the Argos 14, and a very entertaining 30 minutes of championship football at Exhibition Stadium this afternoon. Now, while coaches regroup and we await a very entertaining halftime spectacular, let's join Brian Williams with some rather special guests.
All right, thank you, John. Premier William Davis from Ontario and Mary LeMessurier, who is the Minister of Culture representing Premier Peter Lougheed in Alberta. Premier Davis, what do I keep hearing all this week about these bets?
Well, Peter and I had a discussion. Peter would like to have been here. We had a discussion about betting the Heritage Fund against our provincial deficit, but he's been looking at our deficit, and I've been looking at this Heritage Fund. Our deficit's up a bit. The Heritage Fund Mary's down a bit. So we have a bet that we're not disclosing to the public.
Mary LeMessurier, Alberta's Minister of Culture. I hear of another bet that involves Harold Ballard and Wayne Gretzky.
Well, I've heard talk of that, and I'm sure that they'll come to some decision, but I think that we'd like to keep Gretzky in the West.
What you're telling us is you don't want Ballard.
I didn't say that. You said that.
All right. CFL Commissioner Jake Godar. If I can bring Mr. Godar in, he is just... Commissioner Godar, if you can slip in here. This has to be probably the most exciting first half of a Grey Cup in many, many years.
I think I agree with you, Brian. It's going to be interesting to see the second half. I anticipate it's going to be very much the same.
They have tremendous barriers here, if they get a shot of the field later, to control the crowd. That is obviously of some concern to you, to keep them off the field after the game.
Brian, I don't know if you have time, but I couldn't hear from there.
I'm asking about the crowd control after the game. I see the barriers down there. They're 2 and 3 deep.
Well, I expect the crowd control to be there. We've had it in recent Grey Cup games, and I don't see any reason to believe we won't have it for this game as well.
Jake, Premier Davis, Mary LeMessurier, a good first half of football. Our halftime show continues. Grey Cup 82 from CNE Stadium in Toronto.
And in the Edmonton Eskimo dressing room, the Eskimos leading by 6 points after 30 minutes of play. Pat, the politicians were somewhat non-committal on non-football matters, but as far as football is concerned, we can commit ourselves. That may be one of the most exciting halves we've ever seen in a Grey Cup game.
Well, I would certainly agree with you, and I know that you're going to have a great second half here because these clubs haven't finished scoring by any means. As a matter of fact, Riggs made the comment earlier, I think whoever ends up with the ball last may end up with the Grey Cup for 1982. You know, tremendous displays by both quarterbacks, but those receivers have been outstanding.
They have made some outstanding catches, and Frank alluded trailing 20-1. A tremendous second half comeback. The Toronto Argonauts have been in it all the way. The Eskimos leading by 6. It's the Argos' turn to come back. Are they capable?
They are most assuredly capable of coming back, and I'm very impressed with the way they played that first half because they are a young football team. They were not expected to do as well as they did in 1982, and to see them have that kind of fortitude to hang in against the best football team that was ever put together in this country, and I'm referring to the Eskimos, is a tremendous credit to them. 255 yards passing for Warren Moon, 189 for Conrad Holloway. Look at those offensive stats. We're very capable of going over 1,000 yards in offense by the time this ball game is over, and who could ask for anything more than that?
Well, we had 1,000 yards of offense earlier in the season in a game involving the Edmonton Eskimos and the Montreal Concorde. You and I talked yesterday, Pat, about Emmanuel Tolbert, the need for more speed in the pass receiving core of the Argos, and on the very first pass they threw to him, an 84-yard touchdown.
A little quicker than you or I would have been able to get down there.
They could time us with a calendar. Good first half.
Listen,
we look
good
forward
luck to you.
to an exciting second half, and two fellas who are also looking forward to an exciting second half, Ron Lancaster and Frank Rigney.
Donnie, thank you very much. And Ronnie, I know that you agree it's been an extremely exciting first half. I think these quarterbacks really create time for themselves to throw the football. They both have great athletic ability.
Well, there's no doubt they're excellent athletes. And the other thing, both defenses are afraid of them. They're dropping people back. They won't allow it. They don't want to rush them too hard because they do. They get burnt. Edmonton went after Holloway. He hits Tolbert touchdown. So what are you going to say? If you watch the first highlight, Riggs, you're going to see an all-out blitz. And what happens? They get burnt. How far?
You know, we talked about before this ball game, the use of that motion, trying to load up one side, get individual coverage, and that worked just absolutely perfect for the Argonauts on that play.
Well, there's no doubt he's awful fast.
That put the Argonauts ahead 7-3, but the Edmonton Eskimos were not to be denied offensively either. You saw them have 20 first downs to 10 for the Argonauts. Watch here as they put their first major on the board. I thought the real key to the play was the block by Neil Lumsden, because all of a sudden the Eskimos were getting a lot of time to throw the football, and their offensive line did a good job, but you need that extra protection by the offensive back as well. Kelly going down there. Lee Pedersen said he pushed off. It was not called. Actually, I didn't see it, but that was the first major for the Eskimos. Conrad Holloway, though, showed his great ability to run with that football.
Well, he finally gets stopped. They can't find anyone to throw to, but this is what he does better than any quarterback right now in the Eastern Conference. He gets outside, and that's what made him the outstanding player in the league.
Ronnie, how would you like to be a cornerback in this league and have to cover Terry Greer?
No chance. I don't think any cornerback in this league wants to cover Greer one-on-one. An outstanding athlete. A lot of time right here, but this is a great catch. He was interfered with, but it's still a great catch.
Well, particularly when that quarterback, like Holloway, can provide so much of that extra time himself. The last touchdown of the first half, Brian Kelly, great individual pattern.
Well, this is one of the times the Argonauts decided to blitz them, and what happened? They got burnt for a touchdown, and that's why they're not sending 8 and 9 guys, because they can't afford to get them receivers one-on-one downfield.
Well, I think you'll all agree that the first 30 minutes of Grey Cup 1982 has been extremely exciting. Ronnie, I'm a little jealous that you get to do the last half of this ball game. It's been very exciting. Stay with us, but right now, we'll go to John Wells.
Okay, Frank and Ronnie, Edmonton 20, Toronto 14. When we return, hundreds of young Canadians will have the spotlight for the grand finale of the halftime show at the CNE. We'll be back all together now when Grey Cup 82 returns in just a moment. Halftime at Grey Cup 82 continues, and in the great tradition of this annual East-West football gathering, the constant theme of today's halftime show, All Together Now. On the field, over 500 young Canadians who have worked long and hard in preparation for the grand finale of the halftime show here on Grey Cup Sunday. You'll be able to count 11 different dance groups.
The folk dance company, Les Sortilèges from Montreal. Les Sortilèges were formed in late 1966. They became quickly conscious that dance could be an instrument of closeness and understanding among communities. La troupe folklorique des Sortilèges a été créée à la fin de 1966. Aujourd'hui, les sortilèges sont connus non seulement au Québec et au Canada, mais également aux États-Unis et dans de nombreux pays d'Europe qui les ont accueillis. Are a French-Canadian folk group from Welland, Ontario. Literally translated, Vive la Joie means long live happiness. Since their foundation, they have participated in over 60 shows, folk festivals, presentations and workshops in Southern Ontario and in New York State. Les Vive la Joie sont une troupe folklorique canadienne-française de Welland, en Ontario. Depuis leur formation, les Vive la Joie ont participé à plus de 60 spectacles, ateliers et festivals à travers le sud de l'Ontario et dans l'État de New York. Japanese-Canadian Cultural Center Dance Group, the Croatian Folklore Ensemble, the India Dance Group, The Amerindian group from Ohsweken, Ontario, the Chisemba Workshop of Artistic Talent, the Woodgate School of Irish Dancing. Voici maintenant les autres groupes qui complètent le spectacle d'aujourd'hui. Le groupe de danse du Centre culturel canado-japonais, l'ensemble folklorique croate, un groupe amérindien d'Ohsweken en Ontario, le Chisemba Workshop of Artistic Talent et l'école de danse irlandaise de Woodgate.
The song All Together Now was written expressly to reflect the unique feeling of this nation at Grey Cup time. On the field, the letters C-A-N-A-D-A, Canada, by the 11 dance troops here participating in the Grey Cup halftime show at Exhibition Stadium.
We're loggers, we're workers, we're a people with a wish. Makes no difference where we came from, it's where we're living now. And the song we sing is Canada, and we're together now. All together now, all together now. That's the words of our song. All together now, together now, we are strong. All together now, that's the words of our song. All together now, together now, we are
Well, rain did not deter the 500 young performers taking part in the halftime show at Exhibition Stadium. 30 minutes of football remain at Exhibition Stadium in Toronto. The Eskimos lead it by 6, and we'll be back. Back live, Exhibition Stadium, Toronto. A great first half, and to call the play-by-play of the second half, our CBC Sports crew of the afternoon, Don Whitman, Leo Cahill, and Ronnie Lancaster. Take it away, guys.
Thank you, John. And with a 20-14 first half scoreboard, we look for more excitement in the second half. Although, Leo, this rain may be a factor. The weatherman forecast 3 o'clock for the showers to begin. He missed by about 15 minutes.
We can see it coming in right over the lake right now, Don, and it's coming real quickly, and it looks like we might have some heavy rain. Two things I observed in that first half. Number one, Kelly and Scott both have injuries, and a lot of times on a cold day like this, when they go in at halftime, they get kind of stoved up, so look for them to be a little bit slow in the third quarter out here coming out. And the second thing is that when they threw that pass to Emmanuel Talbot, they scared Edmonton off the blitz, and that might be an imposition before the ball game's over. I think if the Edmonton expects to win, they got to go at Conridge Holloway.
Ron, what do you look for in the second half?
I think they're going to stay mostly the same. I think they're going to force Conridge Holloway to run with that football. They'd rather have him running with it than throwing it, because he's running well, but he's not hitting the long gainers. They've got to keep him from throwing the bombs, like 94 yards to Talbot against the blitz on a quick screen. I think that's what they're going to do. Moon and the Eskimos have to continually work to the outside. They're in a 4-4 defense. The only time they've blitzed, they got burnt for 40-yard touchdown to Brian Kelly. So I really believe that they're going to continually do the work to the outside.
Early in the ball game, they threw that screen to Bob Bronk up the middle. Had he not slipped, he may have gone for big yardage. They have not come back with that. Will they go to that in the second half?
Sure will.
I'm surprised that they haven't gone to it earlier than that. It was a very successful play, and it's one that they've used successfully throughout the season. I'd like to see them come back with it.
One of the keys for the Toronto Argonauts definitely is Terry Greer. He has already scored a touchdown. He's standing by with Brian Williams.
No question he is the key, Don. They're going to have to pass the football, but not only is it raining, Terry, it's miserable, windy, cold. I'm wondering, can you pass in this kind of weather to come back?
Well, as long as we keep our hand warm and the ball is dry, I think we'll be able to pass. I don't think it really should have that much effect on the game.
Are you going to change your game plan at all?
Well, I don't think so. We saw a lot of things that we could have got that we didn't get, and so we're just going to go to a few more plays.
You still feel you can pass against this team?
Oh, definitely so, yeah.
Good luck in the second half, Terry.
All right, thank you, man.
The two teams at their respective benches waiting for this second half to get underway. The Toronto Argonauts, last appearing in a Grey Cup game in 1971, losing
losing in the rain at Empire Stadium in Vancouver to the Calgary Stampeders. Hugh Campbell would like to make his departure from the Canadian Football League a winning one. He has won 4 consecutive Grey Cups. He has been in a Grey Cup game every year that he has been a head coach with the Edmonton Eskimos. His first year, of course, as has been well documented, he was a loser on a very slippery, ice-covered field, Olympic Stadium in Montreal. He's won 4 in a row. Bob Obilovich on the other side of the field in his rookie season, attempting to put an end to that string and start a dynasty of his own here in Toronto. But the Argonauts trail by 6 as they prepare for the second half of a finale to a tremendously exciting Canadian Football League season. It started off on a rather tentative note. As a matter of fact, there were some misgivings prior to the season. There were doubts as to whether or not there would even be 9 teams. There was concern about this franchise in Toronto, but it has certainly turned around, and we have had an exciting windup.
You know, Don, this first half kind of reminds me of 2 great fighters going toe-to-toe for the first 4 or 5 rounds, feeling each other out. And then somewhere in that 5th or 6th round, one of them cracks a little bit. So in this 3rd quarter, the one that cracks first is the one that will probably get beaten in this football game. But so far, as the guys before us referred to, maybe the last guy that has the ball is the guy that's going to score and win.
Well, the Edmonton Eskimos, since Warren Moon has been a member of the team, must feel that the Grey Cup is part of their contract. They have, since Moon joined the team, gone to the national final every year. Tommy Scott has made a valuable contribution, and he is zeroing in on a couple of receiving records. He needs 4 to pass Hal Patterson as the all-time top receiver in Grey Cup game history. Dave Cutler preparing to kick off to get this 3rd quarter underway.
Edmonton will be going against the wind in the 3rd quarter, and then they'll have the wind to their advantage in the 4th quarter.
JoJo Heath brings it out to the 34-yard line, and that's where the Argonauts will scrimmage. Bill Manchuk was there to make the tackle. That was a 53-yard kickoff. Dave Cutler, now the all-time Grey Cup scoring leader with 66 career points. He needs 1 more convert and 1 more field goal to tie a couple of existing records. And when you make as many Grey Cup appearances as he has made, it's not difficult to get your name into the record book. Conrad Holloway, 1 big bomb so far in the ball game, 84 yards to Emmanuel Tolbert. 1st and 10, the Argos at their own 34. Going deep for Terry Greer, he overthrew him.
Boy, he just barely overthrew him, too. Terry had beaten the coverage, Holloman, on that one. Got himself into the open. If that ball was thrown properly, that's a touchdown, Ron.
Well, he's running his normal pattern down and coming to the inside. They hit it 3 or 4 times first half. He started it in. Holloman coming after him. He just turned outside.
Ron, sometime the wind for a quarterback can do funny things with that ball, either with it or against it.
It looks like right now he was throwing with it, and that ball gets up there, it's going to really sail.
2nd and 10 for the Argos. They are at their own 34. They trail 20-14. Very exciting first half of football. We look for more of the same in this second half.
This would be a good time to go to Greer on a sideline cut for a first down now, because Holloman's going to be playing loose after that.
Going deep again, looking for Newman. He was protesting that he was interfered with by Ed Jones. Jones has also indicated to the official that he thought it was the other way, that Newman was bumping him. There were no flags.
Shouldn't be a flag. He was trying to get by him, and Jones was doing his job on defense. They just banged together. The ball was too far for either one of them. Keith brings Cedric Minner back in the block. He's just going to try to go deep. Very early, 2 deep passes. He just threw it too far. He couldn't have got it.
Good job on the inside there of the stunt blocking. The right guard picked up the middle linebacker, Kepley, in good fashion on that play. They tried to fool him with a little blitz coming up the middle.
3rd and 10. Dean Dorsey kicking to Gary Hayes and Emilio Fraietta. Hayes fields it at the 42. A penalty flag goes down immediately. I'm sure that the Argonauts will be called for encroaching upon that 5-yard area. Grey Cup 82 from Toronto, with the Eskimos leading 2014, returns in a moment. You know,
know, you talk about emotion and the role it can play in a football game. Conrad Holloway alluded to it on Thursday night when he accepted the Shenley Award as the country's outstanding player. He said he and the Argos were inspired this year by the mid-season death of their longtime equipment man, Tommy Bowen.
And I'm sure that they were. Tommy was a big-time favorite, and I went in there the other day, just walked past where Tommy normally had his post, that dressing room, and it really doesn't seem the same without him in there.
1st and 10, midfield, the Eskimos with the football. Moon ducks away from the initial charge. He got away from the scabbards and picks up about 8 yards. Down at field level, Bill Stevenson is standing by. Obviously, we are having some microphone problems down at field level, and we'll attempt to get back to Bill and Bill Manchuk. Rod Conop, the injured player, a graduate of Wilfrid Laurier.
Try to get outside. I thought it was an excellent play by Leon Laskowicz. He got inside, but Moon just ducks underneath him, and now he's on his own. Conop turns around to try to help him block, and when he slipped, that's got to be where he got injured.
You know, we always felt, Ron, in a game like this in the third quarter, especially with the weather conditions the way they are right now, we see him right, he fell there and looked like he may have got a hip pointer, and that's one of the most painful injuries there is. But
well, as Rod Conop is treated by the Edmonton medical staff, let's again go down to Bill Stevenson. Apparently, we are still having some microphone problems down at that Eskimo bench. 2nd and 3 as the Eskimos will scrimmage at the 48 of the Toronto Argonauts. Ted Millian has replaced Conop at that guard position. Rod Conop, a rookie with the Eskimos this season. What a fine job he has done. On 2nd down, flags fly. It should be a 1st down for the Eskimos as Germany vaulted his way through, but we'll wait for referee Bud Ulrich to explain the infraction. Illegal procedure is the call against Edmonton. That will negate the game. It seemed that Ted Millian and Heck Potier had moved prior to the ball being snapped.
Procedure, Edmonton, number 63. 2nd down and field.
as I was going to say before, Ron, with weather conditions the way they are and going against the wind, I think as far as Edmonton is concerned, they just hope in the third quarter they can hold Toronto to a touchdown or less. But if they should get lucky and go down here and score, it's really going to put an imposition on Toronto.
Yeah, they got to come back this quarter when they want to move.
2nd and 8 now from the 53. The pass is deflected. I believe it was Earl Wilson who got his hand up in front of that throw that was intended for Waddell Smith. The Edmonton Eskimos are forced into a punting situation.
And that was a costly penalty too, Ron, because if they would have got that first down, they would have been in great position.
Yeah, they needed that first down, and they lose it because of the illegal procedure. But he's trying to throw it under to Waddell Smith, that left hand, big left hand. If Wilson's comes up there, he's a big man. He can block out the sun. You know there isn't any today.
Somewhat reminiscent of last Sunday's Eastern Final, as the Argos destroyed Ottawa 44-7, although it was not nearly as cool. Third down kick will be handled by Carinci. Carinci at the 15-yard line, running it out to the 24. Returning capabilities of this man is something that the Eskimos had to be concerned with coming into the Grey Cup game.
Well, I thought last week in the Ottawa game, on the very first punt of the game, he took it on his 8-yard line and brought it back 58 yards. I thought really that's got the game started the way the Argonauts wanted it. Those kicking games, everybody knows are important, especially when it's your first offensive play.
A return of 11 by Jan Carinci, setting the stage for a 1st and 10 play. Toronto, they are at their own 24. Daniel Tolbert goes wide left. He's one-on-one with Larry Heibaugh. They swing it out to Cedric Minter. Minter looking for a block on the sidelines. He's got the first down. Brought down by Larry Heibaugh.
That's a play that they used very successfully early in the season. They haven't used it as much in the last 2 or 3 ball games. But that puts a real imposition on that defense because you get that
A gain of 18. Right now, let's go down to Brian Williams.
Linebacker John Pointer, a former Edmonton Eskimo. Moon gave you guys all kinds of trouble in the first half. Did you make any adjustments defensively at halftime?
Well, Brian, we let him also get outside on. We broke that on that containment, and not only did he break when he broke containment, found enough time to throw the ball. He also ran the ball very effectively. So we got to stop him.
You got to contain him.
Yeah.
Contained Conrad Holloway on that play. He did a lot of bobbing, weaving, but was finally brought down after about 3 Eskimos had a shot at him by Tom Towns.
You know that play just before, down on that 18-yard gain, they brought Terry Greer all the way across the formation in motion, and he became the inside receiver. I haven't seen him do that.
I think those 2 guys we just saw on the screen were in my room last night.
Probably in your drink.
Second down and 14. The Argos are backed up to their own 38. Cedric Miller again, he was unable to hang on. Gary Hayes scooted in there, but the official called it an incomplete pass.
We talked about that before, Don. I didn't have a chance to finish on it, but when they swing out there to the sidelines to Cedric Minter, he gets a one-on-one situation normally with that defensive back, and all that defensive back has to do is take an inside approach instead of an outside approach, and he's got that sidelines, and he might go all the way.
Dean Dorsey, who replaced Zenon Andrusician at mid-season for the Argonauts. Interestingly enough, Andrusician has been with the Eskimos. He has been practicing with them all week. The ball is fumbled by Hayes, who got it. Edmonton managed to recover as Hayes was able to pounce on that ball.
Very, very fortunate to get hold of that football.
So the Edmonton Eskimos will scrimmage 1st and 10 at their own 27. This is Grey Cup 82 from Toronto. Well, in comparing the 2 quarterbacks, Warren Moon has held the better hand so far this afternoon. 72.7% of his passes have found the mark.
This is a very critical drive right here. They're starting inside their 30-yard line against the wind.
1st and 10 from the 27. Lots of time. Moon throwing for Scott. He's got it. What a clutch receiver Tommy Scott is. When they need that first down yardage, almost always Scott comes up with the catch.
Well, that's the play they've been throwing all year. Again, they streak Waddell Smith down that sideline to clear that zone, and then let Tommy Scott go down about 18 yards and turn to the outside. And boy, that ball was thrown perfect because JoJo Heath was coming.
That's right. I mean, as far as Scott is concerned, he gets the open spots about as well as anybody. But talk about a well-thrown football. That was laid right in there.
Number 2 receiver during the season in the Canadian Football League, 91 catches, and Tommy Scott has hauled in 3 this afternoon. 1st and 10 from the 52. Moon is going to run away from trouble. Penalty flag goes down. Moon very close to first down yardage. That penalty flag back at the line of scrimmage, and again we'll wait for the officials to sort it out and get the signal from referee Bud Ulrich, the holding call against the Toronto Argonauts.
I think it's on one of the receivers. I thought coming off the line at the bottom of the screen, tried to get inside and couldn't make it. But then when those linebackers drop that deep, Warren Moon will run, Conrad Holloway will run, make those quarterbacks run. It takes a little longer.
Holding Toronto, number 41, first down.
You caught it, Ron, holding against Tim Berryman as they attempted to hold up that receiver coming off the line of scrimmage. Well, it's quite comfortable up in our press box location this afternoon at CNE Stadium. Not so for those sitting in the open stands and for our sideline commentators, Bill Stevenson and Brian Williams. Germany on first down continues to fight to the 41-yard line.
Germany carry.
Well, we did not have much success before, Bill. Hopefully your microphone is working this time.
I hope it is, and I think it is. The Defensive Player of the Year, the Shenley Award winner, James Parker. James, is that Argo club doing anything different or surprising to you offensively?
good at films in the last couple of games. So we're basically trying to keep doing what we're doing. Playing this type of defense, just play a little bit better, try to contain the quarterback.
You're not blitzing too much.
No, not as much. You know, because his foot isn't too good, but we're still basically trying to get on him.
Germany carried.
On 2nd and 3, Jim Germany picks up the first down. Stopped by Ed Jackson. 8:03 is the time left in the third quarter. 20-14, the Eskimos leading and threatening to add more to their point total, as they will have a first down just outside the 35-yard line of the Toronto Argonauts.
It almost looks like Warren Moon is trying to prove that although Conridge won the big award, that he's a great quarterback, and he's certainly doing that.
Well, there certainly are no doubts that Warren Moon is an outstanding quarterback. He has the ability to do so many things, such as run with the ball when in trouble. He fumbles, but I believe it was ruled that he had touched down before the ball bounced away. Steve Aykroyd was the man who tripped him up, but it is a first down for the Edmonton Eskimos with 7:18 left in this third quarter.
Moon's going to try to roll out. They're going to give him a zone. The safety man is real high, deep into the end zone. He's not going to let Brian Kelly deep. But watch the moves Warren Moon makes on this run. That is a great run.
Leaves 3 defensive men right in his wake. Several years ago, they used to put a linebacker on the quarterback because he's an uncovered man. Nobody had him, but they can't do that now. There's too much movement on the offense.
Big advantage for the Eskimos in terms of first downs, and Moon will look for another. Again, he will run with the football. And Moon is buried in the vicinity of the 10-yard line, but that will be close to another first down. Warren Moon, the leading rusher in this ball game. He has been running away from pressure. Coach Hugh Campbell referred to the all-around abilities of this man. He does so many things well. Throwing from the pocket, throwing that deep pass, throwing to the sidelines, running with the ball when pressured. He's a complete quarterback.
He's a complete athlete. He's big and strong, and he moves well, and everybody knows he can throw. That's about all there's nothing he can't do.
First and goal from just inside the 10-yard line. The handoff to Germany. Germany fights his way to about the 6. Fumbles the football. Who's got it? The Argos have got it.
Well, that's a big break for Toronto, stopping that drive.
Harold Woods is the man who came up with the football. And that's twice now that big drives by the Eskimos have been snuffed out with an interception and then a fumble.
It's a straight dive. Looks like he's got control. He makes a good move outside. Ed Jackson is the one that knocks it out of his hands.
Just hit the ball.
Recovers.
Hit the ball right with his fist. I was just about to make a point, but here we are in the third quarter. They're going against the wind with only 6 minutes left in the third quarter. Had they got in there and scored on that play right there, with the wind being in their advantage in the fourth quarter, it would have put the Argonauts in a real hole. So that was a big play for the Toronto Argonauts.
The Argonauts are first and 10 at their own 7-yard line. 5:45 is the time left in the third quarter. Holloway throwing on the sidelines for Miller. He fumbles the football. It's recovered by Edmonton. Dan Kepley came up with the football, and the Argos are protesting that the play has been whistled dead over on the far side, but I don't believe it will do them much good.
That will be to no avail. Anytime you see the official staying with the ball carrier on a fumble, you know that he hasn't whistled it dead, and that's what he did on that play.
Well, undoubtedly, the rain is causing some problems for the people that are running with that football. They have difficulty hanging on to it.
Well, let's take a look. He's got the football. He's running. I can't tell exactly when he does lose the ball. Well, it's loose. The referee will let you say, Leo, once he stays with the play, he's not going to rule it dead.
So the Eskimos get it right back. They are at the 34, first and 10. Over the middle, intended for Brian Fryer, incomplete.
There's a little slipping and sliding going on down there right now.
I think that rain is starting to have an effect on the field. It's getting slippery for the players, and the ball must be getting awful slippery. We've had one slip and 2 fumbles in the last 3 plays.
You know, at this stage right now, of the ball game with just 5 minutes left in the third quarter, going against the wind. I'm surprised that Edmonton wouldn't stay on the ground, try to eat up the clock as much as they can, take their field goal, and be satisfied, because they're going to use up most of this quarter if they do that.
Moon has completed 17 of 24 attempts so far. On second down, there's movement at the line of scrimmage. Earl Wilson was offside, and Moon simply throws it away as he was being pressured by Moore.
Well, we'll have to see what the officials do on this, see whether they say that they were pulled off sides or not. Oh, they're calling it against Toronto.
Well, Wilson found himself in that Eskimo backfield and I guess decided he might as well keep on going.
Offside, Toronto, number 58, second down repeated.
Well, you can see him jump. I thought they'd blow that play dead right away when he was outside like that, so because he was all the way into the Eskimo backfield. There's no way he could have got back.
Wind and rain very definitely becoming a factor here in the third quarter with 4:28 the time remaining. Edmonton in front 20 to 14. It's second and 5. Ball at the 29 for the Toronto Argonauts. Counter play with Jim Germany. He's got the first down and more, penetrating to the 15.
Using up that clock.
Aykroyd and Woods came over to make the tackle, but not before Jim Germany had run for the necessary first down yardage.
Boy, Hugh Campbell must be standing on that sideline just licking his chops and saying, boy, oh boy, only 3 minutes and 57 seconds left. They haven't scored a point on us, and we're driving for a score. That's a good feeling for a coach, Rob.
Second quarter, they threw the interception into that end zone and killed a drive. Then they fumbled on the 6th. They're down there again. That's 3 scoring opportunities going by the board. They got to get this one in there. It gives them a big plus. See the tackle trap. Hector Pontier comes across and makes a trap lock on Wilson. And then Germany just gets up inside behind all those big linemen, and he's just going straight ahead to the goal line. And you notice he put 2 hands on that football, Leo. He didn't want to drop that one.
Marco Sincar, the injured ball player, heading to the Edmonton bench. He'll be replaced by Mark DeBraze. You know, Ron, early in the season, you talked about the importance of Jim Germany to this Edmonton football team. How many consecutive games is it they have won with Germany in the lineup?
I'm up around 25 or 26. I don't know. It just seems unheard of. You know, that shouldn't happen.
One of the things that Germany does so well, in addition to run with the ball, is block. And this time it's Neil Lumsden running with the football to the 10-yard line.
Boy, Neil is having an awful time holding on to that ball today. They fumbled that ball again, but he was down that time. If that was Leon McQuay, they'd have called it a fumble.
You're still harkening back to 71, aren't you?
Well, give us a break. I'll tell you, they're very fortunate there. The Argonauts came with the full blitz, and yet Lumsden got it and squeezed between them somehow into the middle.
He's been dining out in the notoriety of 71 for a long time.
You picked that up in the newspaper last week. That was Zeke O'Connor.
Second and 4. The ball is at the 10-yard line. To Germany again. This time he goes outside. He is going to be close to the first down. They rule he touched down at about the 8-yard line. Merv Walker came up from his defensive half position.
It's going to be a good yard and a half short, it looks like.
2-yard gain.
Look at counter. Watch Germany. He's got Connor leading them. He gets outside. Now watch Merv Walker makes an excellent defensive play. But if he gets around him, there's nobody else left.
On that particular play, Ron, does he have the option going inside or outside?
All you do is follow that lineman, and that guard will tell you which way to go. If he turns it upfield, you try to go with him. If he goes wide, follow him.
Third and a long one for the Edmonton Eskimos. As ball is at the 8-yard line.
Has Moon got enough nerve here to run a play-action pass?
He's got enough nerve. I don't know if the coach does.
A collision in the backfield as Moon gives to Germany. Did he make it? His forward progress appeared to carry through to about the 5-yard line before he was driven back. We'll have to wait for the officials to spot that ball, and this will be a very important placement.
The guy right there, Coach Bilovich, has got to be very concerned with the spotting of this football because he can take over if they don't make it. By the looks of the players, I got a feeling he's going to make it.
2:27 is the time left in the third quarter. It's been scoreless so far in this third quarter.
There's what you don't want, a quarterback and a running back having a collision like that, because it takes that momentum away from the running back, and that's what you don't want to have happen.
That's not two rookies running into each other either. They've done that 100 times before.
Measurement reveals that it is an Eskimo first down. There were 10 first quarter points. 24 points were scored in the second quarter, and the Eskimos lead 20-14. They're threatening again with now 2:24 and the clock running here in the third.
Well, they're down on that 6-yard line again. Now is when the Toronto defense has got to come up big if they want to stop this drive. They don't want to get down 13 points.
Kelly goes wide right. Smith to the left. Hand off to Jim Germany. Did he fumble the football?
I think he fumbled it and got it back. He was very fortunate here. I don't think he ever got it.
I think that Edmonton has fumbled the ball 5 times and recovered all 5.
It did not appear as though he had successfully accepted the exchange from quarterback Warren Moon. Perhaps in the replay, we'll see what happened.
Well, we'll get a good look at it here. They got just a lead play. Lumsden's leading him. He never did get it. He's very fortunate to ever get this thing back.
Talk about Argo bounces.
And it wasn't a bad gain either, 5 yards.
Second and goal for the Eskimos. The ball at the 1.5. 1:36 and the clock running. The time left in this third quarter. Moon keeps. He tried to go up and over. He was driven back.
Great defensive play. He never got close.
That wasn't even close, boy. They went in there and stuffed him right down.
Well, that's a great defensive play. He didn't get any closer at all.
Rusty Olson was the man who appeared to meet him in midair.
Well, let's take a see. Let's see. Where he is? There he comes. John Pointer's right up in there, too. When that guy goes up in the air, that middle linebacker wants to meet him about halfway, and he did that.
I think you got to give a little credit to Leskovich, too, because he was in under that thing. Slid right down there and got in under it.
Now it's third and goal.
He have enough nerve to throw it.
Third and goal from the 1. Lumsden. He made it. Second effort on the part of Neil Lumsden carried him into the end zone. The initial contact appeared to have stopped Lumsden, but he continued to drive to the goal area, and the Edmonton Eskimos increased their advantage to 26-14 with 57 seconds left in the third quarter.
When you got that guy that weighs 230-some pounds, Germany makes a good block in there. Pointer comes over the top, but Lumsden spins and turns and drives his way into that end zone. He's made a lot of big plays in key games for the Edmonton Eskimos.
That's a great defensive play by Pointer, even though he got in the end zone.
And take a look at the clock. There's less than a minute left. They've had the ball most of this third quarter against the wind, and they've scored a touchdown. You couldn't ask for more than that.
And the convert by Dave Cutler is wide, as Cutler appeared to slip in attempting to add the convert, and the score holds at 26-14. Grey Cup 82 from Toronto returns in a moment. Puddles of water now very visible on the playing surface of CNE Stadium in Toronto as Dave Cutler, who missed that last convert attempt, prepares to kick off. He shanked that one, and it will go out of bounds. It went out of bounds at the 29-yard line. And that wind and rain, I think, Ron, becoming more of a factor than we can appreciate here in the press box.
Well, I think looking across the field at the Argonaut bench right in front of there, it looks like it's getting a little bit slippery. And that water does collect on that field in a hurry.
We were down at field level prior to the game in various spots. Ice had accumulated overnight, but the groundskeeping crew had removed it.
Yeah, they did a great job before the game. There was ice all up and down the sidelines over there, and yet when the game started, they had gotten rid of it. They had the heater and the shovels and everything getting rid of it.
CBC President Pierre Jeannot.
Fellas, I'll tell you, down here on the field, it is like glare ice, and that wind is like a gale. If the Argonauts don't get something going on this sequence of downs, Coach Jovilovich is over here saying we've got to do something before we move into that wind.
Bouncing kick picked up by JoJo Heath. Trying to get to the outside. Good tackle made by Waddell Smith at the 35-yard line. JoJo Heath returned the kickoff. 48 seconds quarter.
15-yard return.
Right now, let's bring in Bill Stevenson.
Okay. First down.
Warren Moon is with me. Warren is
36.
Really slippery out there, and we're not used to playing in the rain. It's been a while since the rainy season. We are playing it again, but we'll just make do with it and beat the elements and just try and keep a lead that we got.
Well, you're playing much better. Aren't you happy with the way you're performing?
Well, I'll be a lot happier in about 15 minutes.
Greer was unable to hang on to the throw. Joe Holloman was defending against the Argos' outstanding receiver.
Well, they finally got what they wanted here, Don. They finally got single coverage with Holloman and Greer, and right away he goes after him deep, and he throws a nice ball over Kepley's head. Looks like he's caught it, but the ball's really bobbling around, and the referee made a good call to blow it incomplete.
Well, both networks well represented, not only in the broadcast booth today, but in the stands at C&E Stadium. Murray Churkover, the president of CTV. Sideline pattern to Cedric Minter, and he goes out of bounds at 49.
That is not a bad play. When you take Greer across the formation and he becomes a second receiver, you have Tolbert, Greer, and Minter, the three speedsters, all on the same side of the field. That's about the best you can get.
First down.
Gain of 13 on the pass to Cedric Minter with 2 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Jan Carinci came into the ball game. Dave Newman went out.
Gary Hayes almost made that mistake I was talking about, coming up from the inside to make that tackle and giving Minter that sidelines.
The screen to Terry Greer. He's going to throw it again, looking for Minter. It's picked off by Mike McLeod at the 25-yard line.
It's also a forward pass out to Greer, and I think the referee called it. It's an illegal forward pass, I believe, Don.
Pass by Greer was intercepted by Mike McLeod for the Eskimos.
That's the call. And that is also the end of the third quarter. So after 45 minutes of play, the score is Edmonton 26, Toronto 14, and Grey Cup 82 continues after this. On that illegally thrown forward pass naturally declined with the interception by Mike McLeod. Starting the fourth quarter, Edmonton take over 1st and 10 at the 25. Ryan Fryer up to the 30-yard line, a gain of about 5 yards. He's stopped by Harold Woods.
Good block, Lumsden.
One of the interested spectators this afternoon, Ken Taylor, the Canadian Consul General in New York. And, of course, he's the former ambassador to Iran. I had the pleasure of meeting this gentleman a year or so ago, and he is an avid sports fan. It will be 2nd and 5. The ball just across the 30-yard line. Pass knocked down at the line of scrimmage. Tommy Scott was the intended receiver.
They came right back with the same play the other way. They're just going to run a pick with Scott coming back underneath, but Eskimos got his hand up, just batted it right in the ground.
When they send Neil Lumsden out of that backfield on that pick that they run on the first play there, he takes a lot of that territory.
Eskimos going to play volleyball with him here. He was open, too. It's a good thing he got his hand on it.
Newman and Carinci are back for the 3rd down punt by Hank Olisic.
Watch if Olisic gets this thing up in the wind, how far it goes.
Well, he is certainly capable of getting it up there. Newman fumbles the football. Who's got it? The Argonauts were fortunate there. They were able to recover that ball. Fumbled on the punt by Jan Newman. And they'll take over at the 38-yard line. Grey Cup 82 from Toronto returns in a moment.
And as the Argonauts prepare to go into this wind on offense for the first time in the fourth quarter, Condredge Holloway just told me before heading onto the field, he says, look, I don't know if I can even throw into this wind. We're going to have to go extremely short. There is no way we can use Tolbert and Greer in any kind of a deep pattern.
That's an interesting observation, Brian, because they did throw that short pass to Tolbert and took advantage of his speed for their touchdown in the second quarter. Twice now that Bitter has had the ball thrown perfectly to him, once in the first half, again in the second. Incomplete. Bill Stevenson?
Jim has been having a standout season. Jim, number one, is that ball really tough to hang on to?
Yeah, it's pretty tough hanging on to the ball. You know that the first man's going after you, hold you up. The second man's trying to strip the ball. So the best thing to do is just grab onto the ball with two hands, get as many yards as you can. I think I lost the ball on trying to get a second effort, so I'm going to stop doing that, just go for what I could get and go down.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Second and 10. The Argos are at their own 38.5-yard line. Holloway does not get a chance to throw. He's buried by David Boone and Dave Fennell.
You know, twice done.
And he's hurt.
You know, twice in the first half, each team was very fortunate when a blitz came that they got the screen out there. Today, watch this one. When Gary Hayes sees that motion away, he runs all the way out underneath the receiver, and they can't throw the ball. Plus, he had Fennell on top of him. That's enough to scare you.
Conrad Holloway was able to get up and head to the Toronto bench, but he was very slow in getting to his feet, and that's not surprising after being buried under 6'4", 250-pound David Boone and 6'4", 275-pound Dave Fennell. Dean Dorsey's punt bounces to Gary Hayes at the 37, and he runs it out of bounds at the 42.5-yard line.
Good thing to do right now. He got all he could get. There's 3 blue shirts there. Just take it, get what you can't get out of bounds. That way you don't take any chance of fumbling. It's raining pretty hard right now, and it's got to be cold.
It is cold.
Yes, I don't envy our sideline commentators, Brian Williams and Bill Stevenson, this afternoon. Cold and wet at the respective benches. Both teams taking advantage of those warm benches, those propane-heated benches that have been specially installed for this game. Boone throwing deep. He has got Scott open, but he could not hang on.
That doesn't happen
very often. I can assure you of that.
Well, that play was run just about as well as you can ask.
Rod McInnes, the president and chief executive officer of Carling O'Keefe Limited, will be presenting Offensive and Defensive Player of the Game awards and the Canadian Player of the Game awards. Following the conclusion of this game, Chevrolet Celebrity 4-door sedans will go to those 3 players so honored, and they will also be receiving 3 individual trophies.
Warren Moon is playing like he's having trouble with his starter.
Yes, it appears that he has eyes on one of those new cars, very definitely. Sideline for Waddell Smith. Brian Kelly. He is bounced out of bounds in front of the Edmonton bench.
Hey, Don, I'm going to mention this one more time, that normally you don't like to sit on a lead, but with the wind advantage yours, with a good kicking game like Edmonton's got, I'm not too sure about putting that ball in the air in this slippery weather. A receiver can fall down, you can get an interception.
What do you want? Do you want me to agree with you? I don't agree with you. Throw it. He's throwing the ball to Tommy Scott right on the money. He's hit Kelly. Let him go.
What was your record?
Well, 248, I think. He's playing well.
Well, they're asking for a dry ball.
He sure is playing well. There's no question about that. But they do have good field position right here. They do have an excellent kicking game.
First and 10. The Eskimos are at their own 53. Boone is going to run it again. He gets some blocking help and slides into the 42-yard line. He was hauled down by Leon Leskavich.
Tripped up by Leskavich.
Leskavich made a big play right there. He got outside. He had some more white shirts in front of him. He made a great effort getting out there, but he had some blockers.
That's about as safe a play as they can run right there.
Waddell Smith is wide open behind everybody down there, but he does the right thing. He sees his interference and cuts right in behind it. Watch outside. He's got a lot of room. Eskimos makes a big defensive play for him.
Not much doubt that Warren Moon has been the outstanding individual on the playing field this afternoon. He has also run for 91 yards in addition to passing for nearly 300 yards. Neil Lumsden off tackle has a gain of about 6, stopped by Rusty Olson. 26-14, the Eskimos in control of this ball game now in the fourth quarter. 10:30 is the time remaining. Bob Obilovich and his Argonauts and the flames of hope among Toronto supporters in that first half, but in this second half, the Eskimos have been in control. Intended for Kelly. He was being covered by JoJo Heath. It will be third down, pardon me, and about 4 yards. The ball is at the 37.
That was a well-thrown ball. They had to pick underneath again, the crossing between Lumsden and Scott, but that gave him one-on-one coverage with Kelly out on JoJo Heath. He threw it early enough, but he just threw it a little bit too far out in front of him.
That man has contributed almost 400 yards of offense to the Eskimo cause. 301 passing, 91 rushing, and Dave Cutler will attempt a field goal from 44 yards out. It's good. And it's now a 29-14 ball game.
Cutler's field goal is good.
As Dave Cutler ties Don Sweet's record of 16 field goals in a career. This is Grey Cup 82 from Toronto. Well, they've just announced the official attendance this afternoon at CNE Stadium, 54,741. Some of them have already headed for cover. Dave Cutler with a number of Grey Cup records in addition to numerous CFL career records. Holloway throwing for Greer. Greer had turned inside initially, tried to swing back the other way, and it's incomplete.
Yeah, Conridge had trouble throwing that football. What he told Brian was probably right. He's going to have trouble throwing that ball very far downfield, but he's going to have to do it. They can't afford to just mess around with those 6-7 yarders now. They've got to make some big plays.
9:16 is the time left in the football game. 29-14. The Eskimos leading the Argonauts. The Argonauts need something rather quickly, I would say. 2nd and 10 from the 35. On the sidelines, it's incomplete. Right through the hands of Terry Greer.
Well, he don't drop very many, so that ball must be getting pretty slippery out there.
3rd and 10.
To tell you the truth, Conridge also had a hard time getting that ball out to him. That ball started out pretty good, and then it started to die, and then he just couldn't catch it when it got there. So he's really having a lot of problems throwing the ball.
With a slippery football and with the wind conditions, I'm sure it's very difficult to be accurate with those passes. We've discussed with a number of the coaches in the league about various quarterbacks' ability to throw wet footballs. Obviously, Warren Moon is having more success than Conrad Holloway. Gary Hayes at the 50-yard line, brought down at the 54. Mike Hamlock is the first to make contact. 29-14 is the score. 8:31 the time left in the game. And Grey Cup 82 from Toronto returns in a moment.
All right, Bill Manchuk is with me. Bill, last we're going to get on the air. Now, you seem to be controlling. I mean, you and the defensive Edmonton now is completely in control. What is...
Well, we knew we had to, and we weren't getting enough pressure on him in the first half, and we straightened that out at the half, and now we're getting a little more pressure in containing Holloway. That's the key, I think.
The 29-14 lead, you seem to have it well in hand.
It's looking good.
Well, as you can see, rain accumulating on the playing field in increasingly large puddles. The pass complete for a great catch by Fryer at the 38 Toronto Argonauts.
That's the same play they run again, and this is a perfect throw. Watch Brian Fryer. He's going to take the inside release. Now he tries to just get in behind, and the ball is just thrown just perfectly over the defender. He makes the catch, gets out of bounds, and they're down inside again.
I can't help but think that Edmonton team must be getting pretty excited about now to think that they may finish out Huey Campbell's career in this style.
That's what you want right there, Leo. That's what they want.
That's what it's all about from day one.
First and 10 for the Eskimos at the 38. They go inside with Germany. Good hole. Another first down to the 25-yard line. Upset there by Harold Woods.
Warren Moon's kept him off balance. You know, he throws on first down one time, then turns around and gives to Germany, and he went through a big hole in there.
Well, a number of Edmonton players have gone down this afternoon. Ryan Kelly and Tommy Scott, they have rebounded to come back. Jim Germany attempted to wave off the trainer, but he appears to be in some pain.
Oh, watch this. Not much to this. You blast them and we'll run. Boy, Bill Stevenson comes across, does a good job on the middle linebacker, and Germany hit it just right. Accelerated when the hole opened, made a big gain.
Well, you know, Bill Stevenson has taken an inordinate amount of criticism this year about his play, but I think this has got to be the most outstanding game that he's played all season long. And when you talk about comebacks in the annals of sports history for any sports team, this has got to be one of the biggest stories of all time, the way this Edmonton team has come back all the way to the Grey Cup, and it looks like with just 7:37 that they're going to win it.
Jim Germany missed the first half of the season with a broken leg, and he appears to be in considerable pain as he is carried off to that Edmonton bench. We certainly hope it is not a recurrence of the injury that sidelined him in a preseason game. Kelly was the intended receiver. He has already caught 2 touchdown passes. The record for a Grey Cup game is 3, held by teammate Tommy Scott. Brian Kelly is another of those who was out of the Edmonton lineup in the first half of the season when, as you said, Leo, they struggled with a 3-5 record. And we had several occasions to talk to the Eskimo coaching staff about the value of both Germany and Kelly to their attack. And they said, I remember a comment by Cal Murphy, don't take away your left arm, but take away your right, and you'll understand what it's all about.
Defensive play, but you know, when you throw a screen pass, you like your receiver to be behind the blockers, not the other way around. He got a little bit too far out, and he didn't give his lineman a chance. You see Keogh on the screen. Leo, watch him. He doesn't give his lineman a chance to get out in front of him. He beats him.
Oh, you got to get those linemen out in front of you, because a good linebacker will do just exactly what Jackson did. He'll measure that receiver. When the ball is in the air, you'll just go to him. You can't hesitate. Let that line get in front of you. You got to go to him right now and get it stopped before it gets started.
A 33-yard field goal try by Dave Cutler. It's good. That's 4 of them in this ball game for Dave Cutler. And 18 now in his Canadian Football League Grey Cup career. And that is a record.
I don't know that Cutler has ever won anything for his efforts in a Grey Cup game, but he's got to be a contender for one of these awards with his 4 field goals.
Bill Stevenson, can you update us on the injury to Jim Germany?
Yeah. Talked to the club doctor. He said that Germany slapped his ankle hard on the turf. It is the ankle that he broke. You were correct in that. But the doctor says he does not think it is refractured. He thinks he's all right, although he's in a fair amount of pain.
Well, with a 32-14 lead and 6:15 left in the ball game, I think Jim Germany might just remain on the bench for the rest of the afternoon. Incomplete. The pass intended for Terry Greer. It must be difficult now, not only for the quarterback to throw the ball, but for those receivers to make their cuts, Ron.
Oh, it sure is. You saw he's running right in where all the water is on the field. He tried to come to the inside on the play that they had a lot of success with in the second quarter. But on that one, he was either slow, but the ball was behind him and low.
Not to detract from the performance of the Edmonton Eskimos, but I think the elements have taken away from what promised to be one of the most exciting Grey Cup games ever played.
Well, one thing for sure, that first half sure was as good a first half of any football game, especially a Grey Cup, that I've seen in a long time.
The Argonauts having much more difficulty coping with the wind and rain in the second half than the Eskimos. Complete to Terry Greer. He's got a first down at the 50.
Conrad Holloway had it on first down and come back and threw exactly the same play the second half and hit it.
Well, Bill Stevenson and Bill Stevenson.
Yes, and the big Bill Stevenson. I wish I had a little of his size. Bill, how tough has it been down there in the offensive line, for instance?
It's been pretty tough at the beginning of the game, but right now we seem to be handling their defensive line pretty well. They're starting to blitz a lot more, and they're starting to run a lot of stunts in there and getting a little desperate trying to stop us. But the first half was a real rough, and this is starting to get easier as we finish her off.
Congratulations. Cedric Minter goes out of bounds with another first down at the 49. 5:05 is the time remaining.
One thing's for sure, I'd rather pay that Stevenson's rent than feed him. I was talking to him before the game, and boy, he weighs about 320 pounds.
As you said, Leo, he has had a great break-up game.
Sure has.
It'll be interesting to see who the 9 selectors choose for the Carling O'Keefe Offensive and Defensive Awards and the Canadian Player of the Game Award. Conrad Holloway sliding into the 38-yard line, very close to another first down.
Well, the Eskimos like that. Force him to run with the football. Don't give him any big gainers right now. That's the one thing they have to stay away from. But you know, this Conrad, he's got to throw the football and he's got to get it going. And the last 3 plays have been good ones for him.
2 quarterbacks have done a lot of running this afternoon. We mentioned earlier that Warren Moon had picked up 91 yards in running with the football. Holloway has run for 51 yards and should have, well, let's see now. Yes, he does have another Toronto first down.
Well, Warren Moon has played about as good a football game at quarterback position as any quarterback has ever played in the Grey Cup. But Conrad Holloway has certainly shown why he won that award himself. Started out on first down trying to throw that slant pass. It didn't work. He came right back to it under these weather conditions and completed it and then ran for a first down.
The Eskimos are that far away, 426, from winning a 5th consecutive Grey Cup. James Parker hauls down Conrad Holloway at the 35-yard line. Next year we won't have to worry about the elements. We'll be under the dome in Vancouver.
That's where they'd like to be playing today. Just think, wonder what would have happened with these 2 explosive offenses with, you know, the ideal conditions.
Well, the group from Vancouver, BC Place, promotions throughout the week here in Toronto, and a very proud contingent from British Columbia extolling the virtues of their brand new 60,000-seat stadium. And you see how the elements are affecting the receivers as Newman slipped in attempting to look back for that throw from Holloway.
He got out there where it looks like they have a new strip of artificial turf in there, and it just looked like when he hit there, he got good footing and fell over. Because he's been sliding around out there. They took the slant away from him and forced him to go to the outside that time, make him make the long throw.
Well, it's third down. They're going to go for it. There's no question about that. With 3:32 left, no more kicking in the game as far as the Argos are concerned.
3rd and 7 for Toronto. The ball is at the 36. For Terry Greer, he makes a great catch down at the 15-yard line.
You could see it coming. You knew he was going to throw it, and he threw it in there. That's a great throw.
It is a great throw, and it's a gutty play. It's a must play if they're going to keep this drive going. He goes straight back, and it's just a post pattern. Comes right underneath. It's a great catch by Greer, too, with a wet ball.
He threw it right over top of Potter.
Greer has been a favorite target. 7 catches this afternoon. Grey Cup 82 from Toronto returns in a moment. 3:08 is the time remaining in the game. 1st and 10, Toronto at the 14 of the Eskimos. 3:03 the time left in the game.
That was a screen pass to Brock, but he was well covered, and Conrad had to come down with the ball.
Down on the sidelines, Bill Stevenson is still manning his post.
Waddell Smith is certainly one of the fine receivers in the Canadian Football League, and this Edmonton Eskimo club is loaded with them. But Waddell, I'm wondering if experience in a Grey Cup game is not a very major factor for this Eskimo team.
It is very much so. We've been to, this is my 6th one, and hopefully this will be my 5th win as with this team. And it helps to know that you've been there before. We've been here before. We've been here with Tom Wilkinson. We thought he was going to throw his last touchdown pass here. He came back. So we know what it takes, and we have great resilience. Thank you.
Holloway got away initially from Parker, tried to fire to Bob Bronk, incomplete. And again, the Argos face a third down situation at the 15-yard line with now 2:31 left in the game.
You got a great example here of the quarterback's sixth sense. Watch him just at the last minute turn away from Parker. Now he eventually is going to take one heck of a hit coming up right here. Fennell looks like going to get a good hit on him, but he escaped the first one from Parker.
That's something you can't teach a quarterback. That's an instinctive maneuver to get away from those charging linemen.
Yeah, when you got weather like that to play, and it makes it a little bit tougher when that rain's coming down, but you're exactly right. You don't teach that. They have to be able to do that on their own.
You can teach them to do it, but they can't do it under fire.
The third down gamble. Cedric Minter, the receiver, waited for some blocking help. It did not develop, and the Argos will give up the ball on down. 2:23 is the time left in the game. The Edmonton Eskimos. What a dynasty. A 5th consecutive Grey Cup triumph, just 2 minutes and 23 seconds away.
This is a great move right here. Just let him make the move. All you're concerned about is not making the first down. Ooh. Well, that's a heck of a hit on the leg at that stage of the game.
Conrad Holloway hoped to put the capper on a tremendous season. Individually, he was honored as the country's outstanding footballer on Thursday night, winning the Shenley Award. A Grey Cup would have been a tremendous climax for the Toronto quarterback. However, it does not appear as though that will happen. Penalty flag flies, and it is probably a time count violation.
I think that the Edmonton team are protesting because they said that the ball was wet and that they wanted to have some adjustment on the ball to dry it, and they ran out of time. I think they got a bona fide argument there.
Well, it's now second down. You lose first down. You saw Coach Campbell doing exactly what you said, Leo. He was talking to that official about that ball.
Well, they have every right to have the ball dried in between plays, and that shouldn't take time.
On second down, Moon is throwing deep for Sinkar, incomplete. What an effort this young receiver made in going off his feet and reaching high for that ball, and he felt the effects of that collision with JoJo Heath, the cornerback.
Well, he does take a heck of a hit. He gets in behind him, and the ball's thrown. He has to dive for it, but watch JoJo Heath come into the screen, and while he's in midair, he let him have it. That's a great hit.
JoJo Heath was the man who put the hit on Marco Sinkar, and we have been informed that Dave Fennell has been named both the outstanding defensive player of the game and the outstanding Canadian player. High snap into the end zone. It sails over the head of Hank Lissick, and he kicks it through the end zone with 2:10 remaining on the clock. So, a safety touch.
Well, he's going to give him 2 points, Don,
against the Eskimos.
It is a 2-point safety for the Argonauts.
Warren Moon has been named the outstanding offensive player of the game, and that does not come as any surprise. And he will be the recipient, courtesy of Carling O'Keefe, of a brand new Chevrolet Celebrity 4-door sedan. And Dave Fennell, in addition to receiving the car, will be presented with $5,000 worth of Panasonic equipment. So if he's a stereo buff,
ladies and gentlemen,
he is going to
offensive player of the 1982
certainly have his choice of a lot of gear.
Quarterback Warren Moon.
Television sets, what have you.
The outstanding defensive player of the game, Dave Fennell of the Eskimos.
Well, Dave Fennell Snell took an awful lot of criticism early in the season. Everyone was saying that he come into this season way out of shape and that he was one of the factors that didn't allow Kepley to play well because he wasn't keeping those offensive blockers off of Kepley. And to round out the season with this kind of a game and being the outstanding defensive player in the game is kind of a credit to the guy.
32-16 the scoreboard now reads with 2:10 left in the game. Following that high snap over the head of Hank Kalisic and the safety touch, the Eskimos will be kicking off. Well, at the start of the ball game, there were 54,741 at CNE Stadium, and with this very cold wind blowing off Lake Ontario and the driving rain, many of them have already departed.
Don, I did a thing on CFGM radio this last week saying that Hugh Campbell, his record is probably something that may never be tied again, and I'm not too sure who could ever do it.
Well, the kick by Cutler sails through the end zone.
They won't get a point.
Was not touched.
That's right. No point, Don. You're exactly right. If that ball goes through there without being touched, you just get possession out at the 25, but you don't give up a point. Well, I don't think you do.
Ball will be scrimmaged from the 25. Almost seems as that trophy has taken up permanent residence in Edmonton. The Eskimos, 5 consecutive Grey Cup wins. Well, that's not conceded to them yet, but they're only 2-10 away. And for assistant coach Cal Murphy, this would be a 6th consecutive Grey Cup triumph as he was with Montreal in 1977. Conrad Holloway got away initially from Parker, then is met again by Parker as the outstanding defensive player in the CFL regained his footing and dropped the Toronto quarterback back at the 23-yard line.
Well, Parker figured if I just wait here, he'll be back. He was under a lot of pressure, so he had to spin and come right back at him.
I was thinking that same story. One of his teammates said to him, aren't you going to get up and chase him? He says, no, I'm just going to wait here. He'll be back in a minute.
Boy, he sure does. He spins away from him, but he can't find anybody open down there. Now he comes back, and who's waiting on him?
I think that he was knocked down, though, from the force of that first blow, and he should have been called down.
It's 2nd and 12. The ball is back at the 22-yard line. For Cedric Minter on the sideline. He gets one block, only gets out to the 32-yard line. And the Argos will be forced to gamble again on 3rd down with 1:36 now left in this football game. Looking back at past Edmonton Grey Cup triumphs, they defeated Montreal 20-13 in 78. Montreal again 17-9 in 79. They blitzed Hamilton 48-10 in 1980. And last year, after trailing 21 at halftime, came back with that late field goal by David Cutler for a 26-23 win over Ottawa.
I believe they had a run in the 50s, too, and Pop Ivy was there when they won it 3 years in a row, didn't they, Don?
They had 3 triumphs in a row in the 50s. You're absolutely correct. Paul Pearson, the receiver, they rule no catch. The ball was in and out of his arms. Contact made initially by Mike McLeod. Well, they have corrected the scoreboard here at CNE Stadium. As we said, no point on that kickoff by David Cutler. It went through the end zone without being touched. They had moved the board to 33-14, but have now corrected it to 32-14 in favor of the Edmonton Eskimos. It does not change. There was no point on that kickoff.
Well, it was 113. I think they'll run the football a little bit. I don't think they're going to put it up now, Leo. What do you think?
I think probably Huey Campbell will be very satisfied to just run it out and more or less as a tribute to the good job that he knows that Bob Obilovich has done and not try to rub it in and get any more points on the board.
I wonder if the celebration is going to be any different on this, the 5th, than it was on the 1st.
I wouldn't think so.
Neil Lumsden off tackle inside the 30-yard line.
You know, we can talk about it, but he's won them all. This guy's something else with this football team. But, you know, he's won 5 straight now, but each one's different. You celebrate the same after each one. You don't care.
He's still yelling out on the field like he's still in the middle of the ball game. Huey, it's all over, baby. Take it easy.
Leo, one of the comments you made about Hugh Campbell, what an innovator and what changes he brought to the Canadian Football League.
He certainly did. His style of defense has been copied by everybody across the country. His style of open offense has been copied by everybody. And as I said, the most firm form of flattery is imitation. And everybody in the world has imitated this guy.
The game has certainly opened up with the arrival of Hugh Campbell on the coaching scene in the CFL. He had some talent to work with, but one of the keys, I think, to the success of any coach is being able to choose the right people, and he has certainly had the right people performing for the Edmonton Eskimos. Conrad Holloway has done a job for the Toronto Argonauts. Their future is still ahead of them.
And Don, I think we ought to point out one thing, too, here while we're talking about it. He's done an outstanding job of selecting players, but he's also done an outstanding job of selecting coaches. He's had some fantastic coaches, and they deserve a lot of credit, too.
24 seconds now remaining in the football game as Jim Germany slashes for an Edmonton first down to the 20-yard line. Brian Kelly with 2 touchdowns this afternoon. He was hurt early in the ball game, managed to continue. Warren Moon coming off a Rose Bowl triumph to the Canadian Football League and immediate Grey Cup success with the Edmonton Eskimos. And now 5 Grey Cup rings will adorn his fingers. As we move into the final seconds of Grey Cup 82, the Edmonton Eskimos 32-16, and that almost certainly will be the final score as Moon lets those seconds tick away, and the game is over. The Edmonton Eskimos have attempted and have accomplished an amazing comeback in 1982 as they hoist a happy Hugh Campbell onto their shoulders. They were 3-5 at midseason. They won their last 8. Bob Obilovich turned around the fortunes of the Toronto Argonauts in 1982. He led them to a first-place finish in the East. Certainly nothing to be ashamed of. The Argonauts have rejuvenated football enthusiasm in Toronto. And this afternoon, they simply lost to a better team on the day.
One of the great experiences in sport, Don, is witnessing greatness, and we've been privileged to witness greatness in this Edmonton Eskimo football team.
Warren Moon will be rewarded amply for his efforts this afternoon. He has been chosen, as we said earlier, the Carling O'Keefe Offensive Game Star and will be the recipient of a new car. And Dave Fennell was named the outstanding defensive player and also the Canadian player of the game. He will also receive a new car and will also receive $5,000 worth of Panasonic equipment. And the Grey Cup for the 5th consecutive year will go to Edmonton. The top 2 quarterbacks in the country, Warren Moon and Conrad Holloway, one an individual triumph this week, the other a team triumph. And the other members of that championship Edmonton Eskimo squad making their way to the dressing room. And Warren Moon, the last man to touch the football on the playing field, will take it to the dressing quarters with him.
Well, Coach Obilovich might be a little bit down, but he doesn't have to be. He's had a great season. It's just that this football team right here is something else. They just keep coming at you. It'll be a nice place to be. There's nothing like being in with winners, and you get in there, and they're going to really enjoy this day.
Well, that's become a familiar sight. The Edmonton Eskimo dressing room and Commissioner Jake Gadar presenting the Grey Cup to the 1982 champions. Eric Upton, Warren Moon are present to receive it.
Most of their exhilaration, really, I think, is because of their feeling for their coach, Hugh Campbell. They wanted this one very badly as a tribute to him and what he's done for them over the years. Other than that, they'd walk in that dressing room kind of matter-of-factly because this is nothing new for them.
This record put 5 times in a row.
5 times in a row.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner. I accept this Grey Cup on behalf of God, my teammates, and Eskimo fans everywhere.
David Boone with the acceptance speech on behalf of the Edmonton Eskimos, the 1982 Grey Cup champions, with a convincing 32-16 triumph over the Toronto Argonauts. A strong second half performance by the Eskimos carrying them to victory. And we'll return with our post-game show and Grey Cup 82 in a moment.
You see the final score. Unfortunately, the weather took over in the second half of Grey Cup 82. Put simply, the Eskimos' 6-point lead at the half and more experience proved to be too much for the Toronto Argonauts to overcome in this Grey Cup. The final score, the Eskimos 32 and Toronto 16. And now for some final thoughts, the play-by-play team this afternoon, Don Whitman and Pat Marsden.
Well, thank you, John. I just wanted to bring up this point, Whit, because I think maybe some people have forgotten it. Huey Campbell was here 6 years ago, but he lost that first game. Bob Obilovich made his first appearance this afternoon. Maybe he is going to inherit that great dynasty that Edmonton has shown over the years.
That could very well be, Pat, and you know, you look back and reflect to that 1977 Grey Cup game. The elements played a role in the loss by the Edmonton Eskimos. The elements definitely affected the Toronto Argonauts this afternoon, as the Eskimos were much better equipped to handle the wind and rain in the second half than the Toronto Argonauts.
But let's not detract from what has been a tremendous spectacle all week long, and the first half of this football game was as good as you'll see in any league anywhere. But no question about it, the stats will show you that the Edmonton Eskimos are full value for their victory. When you gain 500 yards in the kind of conditions that we saw, particularly in that second half, it's a tremendous tribute to the greatest football operation that we've ever seen in this country.
A definite dynasty. They called them the team of the 70s. They have been the team of the 80s so far as well. And who knows, they might be back for a 7th consecutive Grey Cup appearance in 1982.
Well, it's nice to see that there are some things more important to some people than just the playing of a football game. The final prayer meeting that Hugh Campbell and his team will have together as a unit. The Edmonton Eskimos win their 5th straight Grey Cup. Full value for the 32-16 victory. And boy, it has been a pleasure just seeing them play.
And Cal Murphy, the assistant coach with the Eskimos, as I mentioned in the last half of the telecast, now has won 6 consecutive Grey Cups. First as an assistant with Montreal. He was with them in '77. Hugh Campbell saw the talent, obviously, in this man, recruited him as an assistant coach, and that's an important aspect of the Edmonton Eskimos. Campbell, an outstanding head coach, but he also had the ability and the foresight to hire the right people to help him direct the attack for Edmonton.
There's no question about that, Don, but let's not ever forget that great players have a tendency to make great coaches. And when you're talking about people like Warren Moon and Tommy Scott and Brian Kelly and all the guys that go in to make that such an outstanding team, boy, it's been fun watching them.
They have had some outstanding talent over the years, and there seems to be an attitude with this Edmonton Eskimo team. Even when they were struggling earlier in the season, they still had that confidence that they could come out of it, could shed the problems that they encountered earlier in the year and come back. Indeed, they came back, 8 consecutive wins, and then they went through the playoff victory with Winnipeg, and today, the Grey Cup game, the triumph over the Toronto Argonauts. Grey Cup 82 from CNE Stadium in Toronto will continue in a moment.
Well, a 32-16 victory for the Edmonton Eskimos over the Toronto Argonauts, the 5th in succession for Hugh Campbell and company. The story really is truly amazing, and really, if you look at the Edmonton Eskimo lineup, there's not a whole bunch of people who are past their prime in Canadian football. It could continue for some time to come. Now let's go down to the dressing room, and here's Brian Williams.
All right, thank you very much, John. Hugh Campbell, congratulations. 5 straight Grey Cups. A day of mixed feelings for you, though, I'm sure.
Well, thanks, Brian. It sure is. I don't know if any team will go 6 years in a row. I think the only team really has a chance to break the record will be next year's Eskimos, and I hope that they do.
An outstanding first half. The weather took a bit away from it, though, in the second half.
Yeah, it did. I thought both teams handled the ball very well until middle of the third quarter, so then it got pretty tough, and both teams showed some alertness. There were some real good fumble recoveries.
We hear so much about that great Edmonton passing attack, and for good reason, but Germany and Lumsden played extremely well, I thought, this afternoon, and Germany, of course, the fellow that turned the season around.
Well, and our offensive line had a tremendous season, and I think they capped it off with this. I'd say, Brian, that it took a team effort, as we said earlier in the week, to beat Toronto. We kept the ball so much. We used up their whole wind quarter. They had the wind the third quarter, and we had the ball the whole quarter. And I think that what made the game kind of one-sided. Otherwise, it would have been a close game if they could have generated some points in there. So defense made them, 2 and out, and offense kept the ball, and the combination of that was what made us have success.
And your experience, too. Ed Jones talked about it late in the game.
Well, yeah, I think that we were in a situation with a big advantage. We lost the coin flip, which is really a victory. It means that you're a home team and you get to choose the second half, and so we had that win the fourth quarter.
Tell me, earlier in the season when you were something like 3-5, everyone was predicting you to be in last place. Did you ever think you'd put together a string like this?
I really wasn't thinking in terms of winning 10 in a row, and this is our 10th playoff victory in a row, by the way. But I was thinking in terms of making the playoffs because we have an excellent football team, and if we could just get in them, I thought we could have a good
Huey,
show.
Congratulations for 5 straight. Bill Stevenson standing beside us with a fellow that, Bill, I think has won 2 awards here today.
Dave
Come on in, Dave.
is with me, and Dave is the top Canadian, and Dave is also the top defensive player. Dave, take a look at the camera and show him the award from Carling O'Keefe. As a matter of fact, the thing about this, and the players are all giving you a bad time because there was a car for the defensive player, there was a car for the Canadian player, but as the double winner, you're only going to get 1 card and 2 awards. Do you know that?
No, I didn't realize that.
Well, that's
you're just teasing, right?
But I tease you.
No, I really need 2 cards.
Oh, you do? Dave, tell me this. You were picked for both of these awards, which is quite an honor. Was this your finest game?
Well, things went well for me today, but as an individual, I'm only one of 12 defensive players on the team. And Toronto may have paid more attention to Danny Kepley and James Parker today, and as a result, I was left a little freer to do my thing, and I got some attention today.
And we're going to have you take a look at the camera because you're such a good-looking guy, Dave. But the thing I want to ask you now is this. A lot of people are going to be leaving this ball club. Do you think that the Eskimos are going to start breaking up a little bit, that now 5 in a row is going to be sort of the end of this great reign by this great ball club?
Well, Huey's gone, and he's been an integral part of it.
Yeah.
We've had to survive people leaving. My personal hope is that Don Matthews, our defensive coordinator, gets an opportunity to become head coach, and maybe by that way we can keep our Eskimo tradition together a little bit longer.
Well, Don wants to.
Well, I certainly hope to see him with the head coach's hat on in June.
Carling O'Keefe winner for the Canadian player and also the defensive player. Dave Fidel, congratulations.
Thank you very kindly.
All right. Warren Moon is coming in here. Warren, come on in quickly because we have you as the offensive player, of course. Warren, you played just a tremendous ball game. I heard a fellow named Ron Lancaster say maybe the greatest game he has seen by a quarterback in a Grey Cup game.
Well, that's a great compliment coming from a great player like Ronnie, but my main objective was to go out today and just try and eliminate the crowd because they were really juiced up and they could act as a 13th man for Toronto. And we took the first drive and went down and got some points on the board, and I think that kind of neutralized them and took a little of their momentum away. And we just executed very well today. The pass receivers did a great job of running the routes and made my job easy. All I had to do was lay it in there, and fortunately I was on today, and I thank God for the performance he was able to give me today.
Tell me, was this one of the finest performances that you have played and that this Eskimo club has played, or do you rate it that well?
Well, we've had some great games in the past, and I think this goes down as one of them, and I'm just glad to be a part of it all. I feel I played pretty well today. There was one pass I'd like to have back, that interception down at the goal line, but other than that, I'm pretty satisfied with my performance today.
Warren Moon, congratulations.
Thank you very much, Bill. Thanks a lot.
Offensive player of the game.
Hello.
All right. Thanks. The Carling O'Keefe Award and Grey Cup 82 will continue in a moment.
Back live in the Edmonton dressing room. Neil Lumsden, a little quiet here today. 5 in a row. Maybe you guys have been bored here?
It was a tough football game, Brian. Toronto's a super football team, and a lot of people say that they weren't sure if they deserved to be here. They played an excellent season, and they played one heck of a football game.
Ball control in the third quarter, I thought, turned it around. You denied the Argonauts a chance to come back when they had the win.
Well, because their run and shoot is so exciting, I think we were able to...
Hey!
Anybody I know?
No! All right. Hey, I was
Send that to $10 million, the bill, will you? No, I was just going to say that the run and shoot, we have to keep it away from their offense, and Germ and I on the offensive line, a little bit of ball control if we were able to, and Warren called the number a couple of times, and if he wasn't running or throwing the ball, he gave the task to us. Yeah, sure, now you give it.
Well, you had a big afternoon, Neil. We have some tape of one of your runs here. I know it's especially nice to come back into this stadium as you're a Toronto native.
Oh, without a doubt, Brian. It's exciting anytime I can come in, especially after, when I came in last. That run was just a great job coming off the ball. We needed a touchdown. Lucky enough to spin outside and get it over that big white line.
Neil Lumsden, congratulations. Bill Stevenson standing by.
right, Tom. Question I want to ask you first of all, Tommy. Different approach as far as you players were concerned for this 5th consecutive Grey Cup you're going after and the 6th appearance in the Grey Cup.
Well, actually, this whole year was divided into 2 seasons. The first part we had to, we're hurting a little bit, and the second part we had to rally. When we came to the Grey Cup, we just have to take it, you know, like getting here first and then just rallying one play at a time and then just one game at a time. There was no real different approach. All we had to do is know we had to contain Conridge because he's a slippery little guy, and he's a heck of an athlete.
What about your thoughts, though? The fact that this was the last game that you're going to have under the head coach, Hugh Campbell.
Well, we sit there and we think, you know, we sort of wanted to, got together a little bit as a team earlier, and we figured that we want to do this for the coach. We also want to do it for ourselves because of all the adversity we'd gone through earlier this year. And so far, it's just turned out.
Thank you very much, Tom Towns. Congratulations. And now let's go upstairs to John Wells.
So the Eskimos met the Eastern Challenge once more. Their story remarkable in the dramatic world of professional sport. 5 Grey Cups in succession establishes another new standard in Canadian football for the soft-spoken Hugh Campbell, who now moves on to a new challenge but leaves behind an incredible legacy. And to Bob Obilovich and his Argos, thanks for bringing back the fun-filled atmosphere to the celebration of Grey Cup. To the victors, once more, a toast to a battle hard-fought and won. But there's little time to sit around and enjoy, for a new season is never far away. The next challenge comes from all teams who strive to take the trophy presented just a few moments ago. Next year, another Grey Cup in Vancouver. The weather report is already in. Conditions will be perfect in every way for next year. Because we move to a new era in Canadian football. We move indoors to BC Place. We hope you've enjoyed it today and that you'll join us next year for Grey Cup 83 under the Dome. Heads of sport for our production today, Denny Harvey of CBC and Johnny Esau of CTV. The executive producer of the Grey Cup coverage, Bob Moyer. The producer this afternoon, John Spaulding. And our director, Ron Harrison. Isolation directors, Brent Haywood and Mo Waters. Associate producers, Joan Meade and Jim Marshall.
Has been brought to you by Carling O'Keefe, brewers of OB, Malta 3.9, and Carlsberg. And we thank you for watching Grey Cup 82, a CBC Sports President.
This is CBC.